Hey folks, my name is Jesse and I just wanted to chime in really quick to let you know that this episode is actually the second time we've recorded this one. If you're curious about the first time we did it, we titled it The Echosode, and it's only available on YouTube, so go check it out. At YouTube, just search 80s Revisited Podcast, and I'm sure you'll find it. Make sure you subscribe while you're there, because we need at least 100 subscribers before I make an easier URL to tell you, other than just to go search it. Anyways, this episode, Psycho 2, once again, this is the second time we've done it, so you will hear some references of us saying that we're going to put it at the end of the episode or something like that. Well, we didn't. We made it separate, only on YouTube, not on iTunes. Go check it out over there. Enjoy the episode.
This is 80s Revisited. I'm your producer, Jesse Sedgley. And now, your host, Trey Harris.
Is stating counsel you're not going to offer any contradictory psychiatric testimony?
Yes, Your Honor.
On the basis of the staff report, Norman Bates is judged, restored to sanity, and is ordered released forthwith.
What about his victims?
And what about the listeners last week who were like, what happened, 80s Revisited? 4 weeks in a row? And now you do this? You screw us over? Trey's baby's causing chaos and he's not podcasting anymore? You had a streak and you lost it? Is that what you were thinking? Is that what you think of us?
Threw it all away.
No, this is a deja vu episode, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
And of course, I'm your host, Trey Harris. With me, as always, my producer, Jesse Sedgley.
Yes, I am.
And we did have an episode last week, as some people noticed on YouTube.
Yeah.
That we had it.
We had visitors.
As we covered Psycho 2. And guys, next time, if you're an echo on the podcast, let us know in the chat. You'll save us a little redo.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
I don't hold it against you though. It's all good. But nevertheless, we did record last week. We had a severe echo, which if you want to listen to the original full-length episode, we're going to pop it after this kind of quick recap episode to keep us on track for Halloween horror this month, and we'll just make up what we would have normally done this week, which would have been Fright Night Part 2, as soon as our schedules allow to get another one fitted in there. Because of course, we our current schedule's a little bit behind the curtain. We record Thursday nights live on YouTube, and of course then it pops up. You put it up the next day, I believe, on the podcast. Yeah, so kind of like we're like Hulu. You can watch it live on YouTube and you get it the next day on podcasting, so to speak.
That's right.
But I want to read an email first to kind of just address that, and then another one at the end that's a whole other subject that's a little closer to my heart, which we did last week. And I thought I summed it up well, but I got to do it again. But no biggie. But anyway, our good friend Pete Gray from the UK says, well, it was fun while it lasted. Hope you guys are okay. Hear from you soon, I hope. Yep. But I normally we don't read these emails. When I saw it was Pete, I was like, the title was, and now you're gone. And you're like, no, let me let the vice president of the 80s Revisited UK fan club know everything's fine. We just had a snafu.
We were here.
Everything was a little foobar. Got a little foobar, but we're fine. And also, public service announcement, if you work in media, do not use the term snafu or foobar, because you will get a call from news stations saying don't use those abbreviations, because, well, if you've seen Saving Private Ryan, you should know foobar means fucked up beyond all repair, and then snafu means situation normal, all fucked up. It's military lingo. So you're not, even though, my mom uses that word. My mom doesn't use profanity, but she's like, oh, we had a little snafu. And I'm like, Mom, don't use that word. And I'll tell you why I know that, because I used to work for Shadow Broadcasting, and we would do traffic inserts in the news on the live broadcast. And one day, one of our on-air talent goes, we have a little snafu on the interstate. 5 seconds after we go off and back to the studio, ring, ring, ring. Yes, this is the general manager of WAFB.
Wow.
Do not use the word snafu, please, in future broadcasts. We're like, okay, well, we apologize. We had no clue what that meant. We go to Google. Okay. Now, I'm sure most people don't know what that means. I always thought it was just a word. I didn't realize it was not an anagram. I forget.
Like acronym?
Yeah, acronym. That's the word. That's the A word I was trying to sound intelligent enough to use. But yeah, so anyway, on to the subject at hand, which is Psycho 2. Again, we're just going to kind of breeze through it real quick so you have a good audio version of the who, what, when, where, why, my opinions. A little bit updated part at the end with actually new things that I have seen that I hadn't seen last week when we recorded. But again, if you want to listen to the entire rebroadcasted episode, or the original episode with the echo, will be at the end of this one, just tagged in there if you want to, if you think you can stomach it in terms of the echo. So, but anyway, Psycho 2 released June 3rd, 1983. IMDb gives it a 6.5. Rotten Tomatoes, 59% critics, 53% audience. So you either love it or you hate it, pretty much, with almost a 50-50. Estimated $5 million budget. Opened at 8.3. Great opening. However, that was good enough for the number 2 spot, because Psycho 2 thought it'd be a great idea to open the second weekend of Return of the Jedi. So maybe should have waited a week. Or, you know what? Release it in October, maybe. Just saying, the Halloween season. Love to see the horror movies in theaters on Halloween. Domestically, however, we're going to gross 34.7. Again, on a $5 million budget. Extremely profitable. That's why we get Psycho 3 a few years later, and then the made-for-TV Part 4. Couldn't find any information on worldwide or rentals. But nevertheless, it was a success for a movie that came, a sequel that came out 30 years. Psycho 1 was, 60?
Psycho 1 was...
The original, I should say, not the Gus Van Sant remake, which was from the future. But the original Psycho, I think, was 60. We looked this up last week.
1960, yeah.
So, and this one came out 33 years later. I'm sorry, 23 years later, not too bad.
I know it's 1960, but I don't know why it's not coming up.
But
not that.
Not that. Speaking of psychos, that's an American Psycho. I have to return some videotapes, which takes place in the 80s. And that's the first thing that drew me to that movie when I watched it, aside from Bale's great performance and the dialogue. It was just like, it felt like, wow, this is what it was like to be an adult to me. In the, of course, in the movie, romanticized, so to speak, version of it. But anyway, we're talking about the original Psycho, not the American Psycho. Norman Bates. This one was directed by Richard Franklin. He also did the 80s film Cloak and Dagger with Henry Thomas from E.T. and Dabney Coleman, who was a veteran of the podcast from our 9 to 5 episode. He also did, Richard Franklin that is, did 5 episodes of the Beastmaster TV show, which, love the movie. Not so much the sequels. Right. TV show, hard pass for me.
Wasn't there a video game called Beast something? Where you turn into different animals?
Bloody Roar. The fighting game?
Really? The side-scroller? I could have.
Oh, wait, no, side-scroll. Oh, Altered Beast.
Altered Beast.
I was thinking, with the fighting game, Altered Beast. Rise from your grave.
That's it.
Yeah. That
Altered Beast.
Like, that, we had a local gas station that had that. Me and Jason, my friend Jason, I mentioned on the podcast, we would go there whenever his mother had to go get gas, can you please go? It was called John's Curb Mart. It's no longer there. It's a vacant lot now, or it's something else now. It's a Walgreens, actually. So, but anyway, we would go there and we would get Mr. Bones candy. The candy that would come in the coffin. It was all the different bones. Basically just sweet tarts. And then we get that, get an icy. We have about 75 cents left over. When we see how far we can get an Altered Beast. Not very far, because it was hard as hell.
Yeah.
And of course, it released, I think, on the Sega Master System, actually, and later on the Genesis, and I think it's on your phone now for free.
Is it really? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
It's that Sega, Sega released a whole bunch of their classic games on the phone, to where it's free, with ads.
Gotcha.
But you can, for $1.99 or 99 cents, you get rid of, that kind of thing. So you can play them, for a good bit, but then I want to say there's some sort of...
Such a change.
Ads. It was so... at the time, that game was so badass.
Yeah, it was.
It was just, oh my god, you're into a freaking dragon, man! Head exploded. So, but anyway, written by Tom Holland, not... what millennials be like, oh, Spider-Man wrote it. No, not that Tom Holland. He was probably not even born in 83. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was not born in 1983. This is the Tom Holland of Fright Night fame and also Child's Play, which he also directed, and he also adapted Stephen King's story Thinner to the screen. Cinematography, and the MVP of this film and almost any film that he's behind the camera on, the great, and not late because he's still with us, Dean Cundey. Dean Cundey, of course, did the cinematography for Halloween 1, Halloween 2. The thing I like about Dean Cundey is that when he shoots something and it's nighttime, it looks like it's nighttime. I believe that it is nighttime and not obviously daytime. They're, in post reducing the brightness or trying to fool you with a light coming through some blinds or whatever. Dean Cundey is, pound for pound, in my opinion, probably the best cinematographer out there. We're looking at a scene from the original Halloween. Yeah. Of course, one of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion.
Someone made
it's nighttime.
Dean Cundey tribute of all the scenes he's shot.
Yep, and there you go. Just, I mean, Halloween, Back to the Future, Escape from New York, Roger Rabbit. Imagine having to do the cinematography for a film where you got to then input animated characters.
Yeah.
So you have to, the work, it blows my mind, like the work that had to go into that in terms of lighting it, to know how the cartoon characters are going to be lit. Like the communication at that time that have to go in for the animator, I'm not sure which order they did it. They shot, they knew they're going to animate a character here, and then they kind of just followed his cue. Thing's a perfect example. Mm-hmm. Lit by flares only in some scenes, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Amazing. Again, absolutely. If I can do my dream production crew for a movie, Dean Cundey would be the cinematographer, no questions asked. Jurassic Park, I don't think I mentioned that. I think I got on Roger Rabbit tangent before that. But I mean, the man is phenomenal. Absolutely, I can't kiss his ass enough in terms of cinematography. I would watch a movie just if I saw he did the cinematography. Put it on mute, listen to a podcast, watch the movie because I know it's going to look. Yeah, depending on what it is what I'm saying. But he's got a fantastic resume. I mean, he's the Steven Spielberg of cinematography, in my opinion. He's the name that everybody should know. Frequent collaborator. Thank you, Jesse. With John Carpenter, he's lit some of the greatest films in multiple genres, and it's just fantastic. Always like to see him. Anything he's done. Very, very obviously big fan of his work. Music, another pretty well-known, to use a symphony pun, second fiddle to John Williams a lot in terms of a lot of people's, not these days, I guess, because Hans Zimmer and James Horner have done not James Horner because he's no longer with us, but Hans Zimmer's done like a bajillion scores in the last couple of years. But I'm talking about Jerry Goldsmith. He's done some of the most recognizable themes in classic cinema. I'd say he's The Omen, Antos Dominos, which used to great effect in the first season of South Park, Total Recall, Planet of the Apes, Star Trek the movie, Gremlins, dun 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 dun. Great. That and the Omen theme are two great themes to sing when your child's acting bad. The Gremlins rag and Ave Santana or something it's called is the actual name of the piece.
254 credits.
Yeah, I mean, again, he has huge resume. He's done a ton of stuff, but never quite as big as John Williams is the king of soundtrack of score.
Sure,
I'd say in this day and age, Hans Zimmer is probably his second, just with the sheer volume of what he's done in the past few years.
John Williams is still alive, so
he's still cranking. He's still cranking them out. He's got the new Star Wars. I mean, if you look at his 338 credits on soundtrack.
Yeah, composer fewer than
that's true.
Goldsmith,
yeah. But also, name it. He's done something. Jaws, the restoration. Let's say, what's this new Jaws thing that I'm seeing here? So yeah, and he, Dean Cundey, he is to John Carpenter what John Williams is to Spielberg. Scores most of his films, not a lot of his recent stuff, but frequent collaborator. John Williams has done some of the greatest themes, period, in film history. I don't think there's any debating that he's probably the greatest film composer that's ever lived, up to this point at least. We still got a lot of history that could happen, but unless the world ends pretty soon. So, yeah. But nevertheless, Jerry Goldsmith, very, very prolific and famous, well-known composer in his own right, and who is no longer with us, so he can't make anything new. But a lot of his stuff has been used and is, as well known as some of Williams' stuff. So, just not quite as deep of a resume in terms of pop culture. Starring Anthony Perkins as reprising the role that made him famous and pretty much the only role most people will ever know him from, as Norman Bates. And in my opinion, well-deserved from the original Psycho. Maybe not so much this one, but he would reprise that role in every Psycho film except obviously the remake by Gus Van Sant, from which Vince Vaughn will fill the shoes or the dress and wig of Norman Bates. He also played Javert of Les Mis fame in a TV version of Les Mis, which, as we discovered in our first run at this, is not a musical.
All right.
So, however, he did look the part. He looked like he has a French look to him with the long face and everything.
Yeah, certainly.
But yeah, Anthony Perkins, I won't say he's a bad actor or anything, but Psycho is his. That's what that's his. He is the Psycho. What William Shatner is to Star Trek. I mean, has done a lot, but the main thing you're going to know him from is Psycho. Yeah. William Shatner, if you're a millennial, like, oh, it's the guy that I watched with my grandma watching Rescue 911. You know, or T.J. Hooker on Nick at Night, or some other show that would show reruns of shows and everything. But again, you see William Shatner, you think of him sitting on the bridge of the Enterprise. It's honestly, or you might think of him as, you know, his face being used for the mask of Michael Myers to keep it Halloween themed. Yeah. You know, either way.
Or Leonard Nimoy for Spock.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, same thing. Like, you know, Leonard Nimoy's done a ton of stuff. However, he's Spock.
Yeah.
And speaking of Leonard Nimoy, no longer with us, but I mean, he had his first biography, I Am Not Spock.
Right.
Then years later, it's like, you know what? I'm making too much money off this. So, you know what? As a matter of fact, I am Spock. So, but never, I mean, you know, speaking of voices, like great voice, top 5, one of the top 5 voices, I'd say, in film, like that voice. Because in the 70s, he narrated In Search Of, which was basically a sci-fi show at the time. And I say a sci-fi show, it's similar to Sightings in the 90s, which I love Sightings, but, you know, Unsolved Mysteries, that kind of thing, but much more along the lines of paranormal type stuff, but he narrated them. You can catch them on YouTube. I think there's some episodes on there. I don't think it's on like DVD or on demand or anything, but there are ways to get all the seasons. We know what that means. Or to quote Les Mis, you know what that means? Yes. I like Les Mis. Yeah. At least the movie version. Let me be very clear. I like the movie version. That pretty much that's all I have.
Like
I didn't know anything
version?
about it. Haven't seen it on stage.
Oh.
But it's
what
one
about they filmed one. Put it on
You know, I mean, I don't know. When it comes to it comes to stage, you know, stage plays, I mean, I think I suffer from what I saw first defines it for me. For example, well, except Cats, because I saw Cats, and I was like, I'd never like Cats. I'm like, is this over yet? Is this over? Did not like Cats. First time I saw Phantom of the Opera in New Orleans, like, wow, this is amazing. And then, like, you know, no other version, like the official Broadway cast recording, even the movie of that, never lived up to my memory of seeing it the way I heard it that first time. Right. That person who did the Phantom and the one I saw for the first time was just, that's what blew my mind. His performance, Christine's performance, etc. So I'm biased to that. Yeah. You know, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, I saw the movie first, then I watched the recording of the stage play. The movie version, so much better. Again, it's a movie, it's not a play. You know, but however, you know, like I just said for Phantom, I like you know, of course, if I could go back in time and watch that version, it's probably not as good as I remember, but that was my first time. That was my cherry getting popped. That was my first off-Broadway. When I say off-Broadway, I mean, you know, traveling, touring company. Yeah. The version that, you know, I we saw the Book of Mormon for my birthday this year, and you know, then listening to the soundtrack, it's not the same. Like, I like how, I don't like Josh Gad that much. I'm not a Josh Gad fan. He's fine in the Book of Mormon, in the soundtrack, but like the guy that I saw, I liked his performance better than what I hear on the cast recording. But again, I admit, I think I suffer from, I saw it this way first. That's what made the indelible mark on my brain. So I'm holding everything up to that, if that makes any sense. So I am kind of a musical snob in that regard. However, fuck Cats. Don't like Cats. It's got Memory. That's the only song. I remember 2 songs from Cats. Memory, because everybody knew that song because they played it on the radio. And then Mr. Mistopheles, because that song, young Trey is watching this play just like, God, this song sucks. This song is annoying. And then, of course, Team America, he was raped by Mr. Mistopheles. So every time I watch that, it brings me back to that horrible song in that movie. Play. And speaking of movie, coming out later this year in December, and it looks terrifying.
Cats.
So bad. Oh my God. And like, thankfully the internet ripped it a new one.
They did.
Like, absolutely. Like, yes. Like, I'm glad everybody is seeing this.
After Sonic, they were like, ooh, we can change movies now. Let's try to change Cats.
CG? I mean, excuse me, you know, when you see the play, even the off-Broadway, when I saw, I mean, they had costumes, and from my seat, you know, 10 rows back, it looked great. Yeah. You have people that can do practical effects. Like, why are you spending the money on this weird CG crap? They did it in the 80s, every single movie. Legend, Tim Curry, they made him the goddamn devil. Yep. And that makeup still looks amazing. You don't see anything.
Well, all these celebrities came in like, I'm not going to get into a bunch of stuff. I'll get into your little suit, but that's it.
Well, I wouldn't doubt, 'cause Jennifer Lawrence has been very vocal about how, like, I'm not being blue in X-Men anymore.
Right.
So, other humans are around, let me turn white. And I say, obviously out of makeup. They had to film for Dark Phoenix, one of the worst movies of the year. Sorry if you liked it, you're wrong. They obviously filmed every scene of her in the actual blue Mystique makeup in one day because her distaste for that franchise was blatant
Oh no.
in that film.
So people are going to start like submitting false things to the Cats IMDb, I imagine.
Garfield was presumed to be dead, which is false, as no mortal being can come close to defeating him.
It's like, I don't think that's a Cats fact.
Yeah, I'll take it though.
Yeah.
That's more enjoyable than the trailer. Because they're making Cats. Oh, let me see this. I'm just watching. I'm like, this is nightmare. This is like the Black Hole Sun music video from the 90s. This is just absolutely weird. But anyway, Psycho 2, back to that, also returning from the original Psycho, Vera Miles as Leela Loomis, like I mentioned, the original Psycho, also in a couple of John Wayne films, such as The Searchers, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, a lot of TV, very well-known golden age actress, so to speak. I believe she's still alive, but she's very well-known, very famous, played in a lot of stuff. A lot of baby boomers know Vera Miles, because she's been in a whole bunch of stuff. Playing her daughter in this film, Meg Tilly, not Jennifer Tilly, this is her younger sister, as Mary Loomis. She was also in The Big Chill and Agnes of God, which I saw The Big Chill once, never seen Agnes of God. I don't remember anything bad about her performance in The Big Chill, but they should have got somebody different for this role, and her role in this film. Jumping ahead to the trivia, they kind of wanted Jamie Lee Curtis for the film Jamie Lee Curtis is obviously a Scream Queen by 1983, having done Halloween 1 and 2, and Prom Night, and Night, or Terror Train, or what, I can't remember that one. And then also her mother is Janet Leigh. So, that would have been a great, like, full circle thing, as opposed, they basically did that in H2O over 20 years, well, a little less than 20 years after this, when they brought Janet Leigh back in that with Jamie Lee Curtis. And then starring one of my favorite character actors, Robert, Mr. President, I'd like to know what the hell you think you're doing, Loggia, as Dr. Raymond. And of course, if you got that quote I said in the middle of his name, it's because he was the general on Independence Day. He was also in Scarface, Big. Most people remember him from Big. He was, I forget his name, but the company owner in Big that Tom Hanks eventually worked for. McMillan. What else? Hold on, I lost my spot. Prizzy's Honor. But he's been in, as much as John Williams has scored, Loggia has been in 234 credits. Everybody knows this man. When you watch this movie, you're like, that guy looks so familiar. Yes, because you've probably seen Independence Day.
Yeah.
You've seen Big. He's been in everything. But definitely, a career character actor, but a good one. Now, of course, he has that voice, another great voice. Like, he's got that deep... He's got that little grit to his voice, that graveliness that, I can hear his voice, like, when I hear his name. Like, I can hear him talking. They say, you can't get sound from pictures, and they show that kind of meme. But, like, if you show me a picture of Robert Loggia from Independence Day, I can hear that picture. 100%. Great voice. Unfortunately, no longer with us, but he's great in this film. Rounding out the cast, a surprise Dennis Franz out of nowhere as Toomey. Of course, Dennis Franz, NYPD Blue, Die Hard 2, The City of Angels, which is obviously Nicolas Cage, Meg Ryan, and also the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, Goo Goo Dolls were the star of City of Angels.
And then, which was a remake of a Wim Wenders film called Wings of Desire, which I had to watch in my film class, which starred Peter Falk, another great voice, while we're on the topic of great voices in cinema. Of course, everybody remembers him as Columbo, and that's a horrible imitation. As you all know, I don't do good imitations, although I think I do a decent Jennifer Tilly. Strangely enough, just don't ask me to do walking because I know that's terrible, and everybody thinks they do a good walking. But wow. I know my walking is terrible. It's not even sounding like him. It sounds like I don't know. It sounds like shit. It sounds like me trying to do Christopher Walken, exceptionally bad.
Yeah. You nailed it.
Nailed it. There should be a show called Nailed It, where people do bad impressions, not fake things.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Sorry, Autumn watched it. That's the only reason I know that she watched that show. But I can't. I find that show entertaining, but that host, she's a comedian. I forget her name, but I can only handle like one episode at a time because I find her a little over the top, a little too much, a little too loud. I'm like, stop screaming at me, please.
She has her style.
She does. Great for her. She's famous. I'm not. Works for her. Just not,
Nicole Byer. That's
yeah.
it.
I mean, she's funny, but it's just like, okay, one episode's enough. I'm tired of her voice. So that's just me. I mean, obviously it's like multiple seasons on Netflix, so good for her. Hugh Gillen plays Sheriff Hunt. He was also a veteran of the podcast because he played the sheriff as well in Elvira, which we're not live on YouTube, but I'm wearing my Elvira shirt. Mm-hmm. I would like to say courtesy of Fright Rags, but I had to pay for it. So if you like the shirts that I wear on the live stream, you can get them at frightrags.com, and then you can tell them that I advertise them for free on 80s Revisited, and then say, hey, you guys should check out 80s Revisited because he wears your shirts and he looks great in them, and I want those shirts, and you should give him free shirts for advertising your shirts.
True.
Just saying.
It looks like she's standing in front of Spider-Man, though.
Yes. Spider-Web. Yeah, I'm Spider-Man, and Elvira's standing in front of me because I just saved her.
Yeah.
But anyway, excuse me. And speaking of Back to the Future earlier, with Dean Cundy, Hugh Gillen was also in Back to the Future 3, and he would have reprised his role as the sheriff in Psycho 3. And last but not least, Claudia Breyer as Emma Spool in this film. She's also in Bonanza, Hill Street Blues, a lot of TV, that kind of thing. That's, never really anything. This was her big movie, I guess you could say. Which he's only in it for a couple of minutes, which we'll get to when we get to this the topic.
IMDb pick.
Yeah, do not look at her IMDb pick because it ruins the end of this film. Yep. And speaking of the actual film, Jesse, have you ever seen Psycho 2?
As I told you last week? No, I haven't.
I didn't know that. Thank you for reminding me. I had never seen it either until I watched this because I really thought, what's the point of making a sequel to Psycho? Mm-hmm. But this is sequelitis, which I didn't mention in the opening. That's the whole theme of this Halloween horror hootenanny, which I've called this Halloween hootenanny for every year that we've done it. And Joe Bob, I love you to death, but you're doing Halloween hootenanny this year. I had it first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Joe Bob is a listener, I guess.
You must be. Give me a shout out.
Yeah.
Send me an autographed picture. Thanks for giving me the idea. But Joe Bob's coming back on Shudder on October 25th, and I'm thoroughly excited. But it's his Halloween hootenanny. I'm like, hey, that sounds very familiar. That's because we've had a Halloween hootenanny every year since we've done this podcast. So, yeah, I do have a little ownership to that, I think. Let's see. We're going to... Jesse's on the case.
Who originated it, completely?
Well, I mean, I always like to use alliteration when I would do it, so hootenanny was always... And of course, Joe Bob is country.
Well, there's a Halloween hootenanny from 1998. It's a Zombie a Go-Go.
Written by Rob Zombie.
Well, this is like a compilation.
So I didn't use it first, but I used it for talking about horror movies on a podcast, which is, we're comparing apples to oranges now, I'm just being silly. But nevertheless, if you like the word hootenanny, check out Joe Bob on Shudder October 25th, because that's what I'll be watching the day before Halloween party. Mm-hmm. So I probably won't stay up all night watching it, because I'll need my beauty sleep. Because the Halloween party tends to go into the wee hours of the morning. Yeah. I don't want to fall asleep. I want to enjoy one of the few nights a year I get to get outside and get totally shit-faced.
Yeah.
Although I haven't gotten really shit-faced the last couple of years. So anyway, maybe I'll work on that this year.
Age, man. Age is...
Yeah, it catches up. But anyway, Psycho 2. It's not the years, it's the mileage. Yep. And alcohol-wise, I got a lot of mileage. However, if you don't keep filling the tank up, that's the problem. Yeah. You gotta maintain that mileage with it, or you use it or lose it. But anyway, Psycho 2. I went into this movie with zero expectation. It's like, okay, how are they going to do this? We open this podcast with the opening scene, which pretty much sums it up. After 22 years, which is exactly the time frame between the two films, Norman Bates has served his time. They say he's sane. He's released. Starts. So okay. There's no oh, he escaped, or there's nothing like that. It's a lot. It's okay. That makes sense to me. This works. Okay, you got me. And then Vera Miles, playing her character from the original, is like, as we kind of heard in the beginning as well. Why are you releasing him? He's a murderer. He killed people. We can't let him go. Very realistic response. Okay, I'm on board for this. So Norman goes back to the hotel, Bates Motel, obviously, with his psychiatrist, played by Robert Loggia, who doesn't use his gravelly voice to great effect in this. Like, Norman, what are you doing? He doesn't go full Loggia in this, so to speak.
Mr. Norman.
Mr. Bates, I'd like to know what the hell you think you're doing. I wish that was his catchphrase in every movie. So that's why it's in Independence Day. But I've always that line just is so. I hate that line in Independence Day. It's just it's just that line is to set up Bill Pullman to be like, I'm a pilot, Bill. I belong in the air. Which that line, it's even worse. Excuse me. Logia's line isn't bad. It's because it's done to get to allow that line to then happen from Bill Pullman. Because Bill Pullman's not my favorite actor. I think he's got a lot of bad movies, where he's not good in, but I think he's a good actor. He's done some good stuff. But Independence Day is just like that. Somebody they needed to remind him that he's in a movie about aliens invading, and he's not going to win an Oscar for this. But he delivers this. I think he knew that, but his dialogue, especially in Independence Day, the speech is great, but let's face it, that is like a cheesy speech. However, every time I see it, I'm like, fucking America. That blatant shot of the pilot with one of the most over-dramatic salutes in film history. Like a John Cena salute, holds it like building up power and then releases a salute. Like next time you watch Independence Day on July 4th, watch for the pilot with the helmet and his exception. Like this is his one movie that he's going to be in, and he stole the scene with that salute after that speech. But nevertheless, forgot where I was going with Psycho 2. But anyway, so the plot of this film is actually really, really good. The whole time, I watched it over 2 nights. I have a couple. My biggest complaint is it's not well directed. A couple of scenes are, don't get me wrong, but it kind of drags a bit. Like the pacing is off in terms of, because like I said, I usually try to finish things in one viewing. I think it was just an hour and 40 minutes maybe. It wasn't necessarily too long. Oh, an hour and 53, so nearly 2 hours. Felt like about 2.5 hours. That's usually my biggest complaint with any movie, is that these days, save your budget. You could get in and out of 90 minutes for most of these stories, and it'd be a tighter film. Save that for the Blu-ray, director's cut or whatever. Just my opinion. But nevertheless, because after we got kind of halfway through, and then like me and Autumn were talking, like who do you think it is? It's got to be this person. So we had a great time like trying to figure out who it is. Yeah. And then, and Autumn actually said it, and I was, as I was kind of thinking at teacher, like, I hope it's not, I did this, I forgot, I gotta do my big spoiler alert warning, because I recommend you watch this movie if you haven't seen it, if you've seen the original. It is a great follow-up and a great example of how to do a sequel, especially one that's 20 years old. If you're making a sequel to a movie that was made, 20 years ago, this is a great way to do it. I recommend you watch this movie if you haven't seen it. If you saw the first one and you liked the first one. It's not as good. Quentin Tarantino would disagree with me. But, so, spoiler warning from here on out. I like the movie. We'll see you next week. It's going to be Fright Night Part 2. We'll check you out then. So, extreme spoiler territory. And again, I highly suggest you turn it off now and come back after you watch the movie. In my opinion, it's worth it just to kind of see what's going on. So anyway, full spoiler territory now. Autumn's like, I really hope it's not somebody that they just introduced at the end and that's the killer. Sure enough, that's basically what it is. Speaking of Claudia Breyer as Emma Spool, they do show her in the beginning, but it's that one shot, a la Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning did it, where they show Roy the ambulance driver in the beginning, and then at the end of the movie, that's Jason. So they do that. This is probably not the first film that did it. It's obviously not the last. But the whole time, we're thinking like, please don't be like, because that's the cheap way out. It is, because it had me going, and the way that it ends, great. It ends great to where I was thinking, Norm must have played him all along. That would have been fantastic. But no, it's like, Norman, and I'm your real mother, and I realized that I had to protect you this time. Like, no, I don't buy it. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, Norman is the psycho. He's the titular psycho. He only kills one person in the movie, and it's his real mother, big plot revelation. Mrs. Bates just raised you. She's not your real mother. So everything in Psycho is invalidated practically because it wasn't his real mother. You're cheapening the original story by doing that. Yeah. As opposed to where, these people are dying, and Norman fools everybody to where he got, he knew he figured out they were doing. He got him for it. Probably, and then it's like, they could have bookended the first one with him just laughing, and it shows his dead mother. Could have bookended that film with a similar revelation, because the whole time, okay, it can't be Norman. They really want you to believe. They really want you to think it's this person. So where are we going with this? So the whole time, like, okay, having not seen it before and it never being spoiled for me, just watching it, it's like, okay, it could go this way. I mean, this is an older movie. Would they do this at this point in time? Yeah, they do. They do take a cheap way out, which is unfortunate. Still, overall, despite the anticlimactic plot twist and how they kind of screw with the mythology, it's still a good movie, and I enjoyed it. Like I mentioned before, the directing's weak. What makes the original Psycho such an amazing film is Alfred Hitchcock's directing. He puts you in a degree of anxiety and tension from the moment that film starts with the score all the way to the last shot of the film, and you leave creeped out, afraid to get in the shower. And this film speaking of the shower, this film opens with the shower scene, which is, in my opinion, one of the, if not probably the greatest scene in film history, one that has been analyzed in every film class since it came out in film school, was talking about it. One of the greatest pieces of editing you'll ever see. The knife never touches her. Well, there's one scene where, it touches her. You never see it going in. He invented that. What Spielberg did in Jaws, not showing the shark. That was part out of necessity, but he got that from Hitchcock. Halloween, completely. You don't see the violence for the most part. Aside from a strangulation, you don't really see a stab except Jamie Lee getting her shoulder cut. You don't see the knife go in Bob. You don't see that stuff. It's all up to your imagination, which you have Psycho to thank for that. And also, Hitchcock knew if he showed, practical effects aren't very well back. Let me rephrase that. That kind of slasher violence isn't necessarily par for the course like it eventually becomes in the late 70s into the 80s, to where we can make it look like somebody got stabbed really good. Can't do that. The blood in the original Psycho is chocolate syrup being poured into the water because they're shooting in black and white. Red,
get away with a lot.
Yeah, you gotta, it has to show up on film. Genius filmmaking. This film, great writer, amazing cinematographer, great music, overall decent acting. I would have made some casting choices, different casting choices, mainly with Meg Tilly. Her scenes are just weak, and her character has to pretty much carry that character, I should say. Like it's a vital component to the film, to the story, for her character to be delivering what she needs to deliver. Couple of good moments for her. That's about all I can say. But she's like, Norman, don't. Norman, no. It's just like how I just acted. That's how it is. Be warned when you're watching it. Of course,
Oscar worthy.
Razzie worthy. No offense to Miss Tilly. She's done some other stuff. She's been in more movies than I'll ever be in. So, good for you there. But nevertheless, Psycho 2, I was greatly surprised. I want to see part 3 because the ending, they set it up for part 3. Norman Psycho again. So he's going to be killing people in part 3.
Yeah.
However, excuse me. They had to get back there.
Sequelitis.
I have a touch of it. It won't go away. I don't think it's going to go away till October 31st. November 1st, hopefully I can get over it. They say it takes like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
4 to 5 weeks to get over it.
Darn sequelitis.
I know, it strikes when you least expect it. But anyway, the ending, aside from not the MacGuffin, but the plot twist of like, I am your real mother, Norman. Nobody believed you, and I protected you. Ultimately, that's weak. It's a cheap way out, I will say, but it works for Norman kills his mother in the original, so he kills his real mother at the end of this one. That's why I said don't look at Claudia Breyer's IMDb pick, because it's the end shot of the movie where after he kills her, which is a great scene, by the way, where he gives her the poison tea like he gave his mom, and then basically just whacks her over the head with a shovel. Like when I'm watching, I immediately go into the JR mode, like, by God! And he hits her so hard with the shovel, it breaks the chair she's sitting on, which is the IMDb picture where she's laying on the floor with a broken chair. But that scene's great. Then he carries her upstairs, and then he's completely regressed back to where he was in the first one, where he's speaking as his mother, and so he's Psycho again. Great ending, that part. That could have worked the exact same way had he played Vera Miles and Meg Tilly's characters, to where we didn't kill anybody. We're just trying to make you see that he needs to go back to the insane asylum. which they were wrong for doing that because if they left him alone, he was cured. They basically made him a psycho again, which is that to me, that's a great story, a good way to take this film into, as a sequel to a 22-year-old film, a 22 years later sequel. Great idea. Again, it's just the sum of its parts aren't as great as it should be.
Yeah.
As I wish it would have been, with a better director, a couple better actors, a couple little things could have been tightened up on the script. Not too much. I mean, I think, a big part of that is directing and how people are delivering lines to make it seem like you're there, a barely 2 hour movie becomes a 2.5 hour, feels like a 2.5 hour movie. So nevertheless, I say go see it, or, I don't think it's not streaming anywhere. So you are going to have to, rent it or get it, matey.
It's only $3.
It's worth $3. By God, she's broken in half. Get some help out here.
We just watched the scene. You can see that on YouTube, but not on iTunes where you're watching.
Yeah. So anyway, I say go check it out. Worth watching. A great start to sequelitis this year, I'd say. All the other films I've seen, so no big surprises for me there. But this was, I was surprised going in, not expecting anything, decent. Could have been fantastic.
Yeah.
However, there were some weakest links, or not bad apples in the bunch, whatever the damn expression is, that held it back from it being great. I mean, made it good, but not great. But anyway, moving on to the trivia and everything. Meg Tilly, as a child, wasn't allowed to watch a lot of television, period, as a child, so she had never seen the original. Which, however, if you're an actress and you're doing a sequel to a film, it'd probably behoove you to watch the original.
Yeah.
So at least you know what's going on. Just my point of view. I'm not my last name isn't Tilly, and I don't have a more famous sister named Jennifer. So I can't say. However, because she hadn't seen the original, she didn't understand why the press were like wanting to interview Anthony Perkins. Like, oh, how's it like to come back to the film? She's like, well, I'm the new star. I should be interviewed. But she made a comment, wondering why short for Anthony, Tony. Why is Tony getting all the attention? Well, Perkins overheard her say that, and he got upset and tried to get her kicked off the movie. Which, calm down, bro. Calm down. She's a kid.
Yeah.
Especially at this point, don't take it personal. You could always ask her or explain it. It's a teaching moment. But Hollywood's full of people that oh, you dare insult my IMDb profile? IMDb didn't exist at this time.
Now they do.
You dare not look me up to know that I've done 417 composer credits? Or however many, a couple weeks ago, the guy that did all the free license music, like 1,000 something credits or something like that.
Thousands.
Insane. I have more credits than Hitler!
Kevin MacLeod. MacLeod of Clan MacLeod.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, they didn't do anything because they shot half of her scenes already, but I don't think they would have done it anyway. However, I wish they would have dumped her and got Jamie Lee like they wanted, because the producer really wanted to have her because of the tie-in. So, but that would have been a good reason to do it. Just my thought. There's a scene where Norman's we're thinking back about when he killed his mother, and you see a young Norman Bates reflected in a doorknob. That's actually Anthony. Excuse me, the sequelitis. Damn sequelitis! That's actually Anthony Perkins' son, Oz Perkins, that was doing that role. As I assumed when we were watching it, the original house set was used. However, the motel was reconstructed. So the original house is the one you see, all the exteriors, which you can still see today on the tram tour at Universal Studios Hollywood. Yep. Which when we went, I've only been there once, but when we were going, it's like, we have to do the tram tour. I want to see the Psycho House. This is what I'm here for. I don't care about Harry Potter World. That was for Autumn. We had our butterbeer. We rode the roller coaster. Took bought Autumn and let her go pick her wand. I like Harry Potter. I don't love it, so I make fun of it. I make fun of Star Wars too, an equal opportunity discriminator, or make fun of her, whatever you want to call it. And not discriminate. I don't like that word. I don't discriminate. I make fun of everything equally in terms of pop culture. That is a correct way I meant to say that. But they did rebuild the motel. It wasn't standing from the original. But you can actually, as we talked about on the original time we recorded this, you can go to Google Maps. And if you look by Wisteria Lane or something like that on Google Maps where they have it labeled, you'll see the Psycho House and the hotel still there, right next to Whoville from Ron Howard's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and right next to the plane crash scene from Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds, which has been used multiple times. Which was really creepy driving through on the tram because it looks like, it's a plane cut in half in multiple pieces and still smoking on the back lot. So it's like, yeah, this looks like a movie set. It looks pretty real. Pretty real. Tons of things have been shot there, though. However, if you do go to Universal Studios Hollywood, highly recommend the tram tour. It's also a ride. You get to see the town square, which was also used in this film, which was also the town square from Back to the Future, Gremlins, which we've already mentioned multiple times on this podcast already, with some of what other people have done. I guess he's kind of showing you a little scene right there. And
you can see the house in the background there.
Yeah, there it is right there. And there's Whoville peeking over the top of the Bates Motel. And actually behind on the other side of the Psycho house is a big pool with a big blue screen for water shots they shoot on the back lot. People lost at sea or on a boat, whatever, etc. But also the big cabin from Great Outdoors is still standing behind there too. So a lot of 80s stuff back there when you do that tram tour. Like I say, there's a Psycho house again. Really, that was just really cool.
Really close.
Really cool to see. It was really awesome. And just like, and that is
out and go in.
I wish. I could have got in before they stopped me. There's the plane crash. You can see right there the the nose looks really cool.
This is for a YouTube audience.
Yep. Really great. That was the best part of Universal Studios Hollywood because they don't have the Terminator 2 ride anymore. Didn't ride the Simpsons one, but I rode it in Florida. But it's funny because when you go on the tram tour, they have like a King Kong part where like you're on the tram, but it's like that 4D type stuff. So it's done really well. And they have a Fast and the Furious one too, which is just so damn cheesy. I swear they did it with Hobbs versus Shaw, which is I haven't seen yet. I really want to because you got The Rock, Jason Statham, and Idris Elba. I don't care what the movie's about. It could be about gay cowboys like Brokeback Mountain 2. I'd go see it with just that cast. But they finally did it, and they went full superhero in it because they even say in the thing, he's like Black Superman. Because Idris Elba is, I don't know what he is because I ain't seen it, but he's either got a super suit. You see my super suit? I'm not sure because like I said, I haven't seen it, but however, I cannot wait to see it because of the talent. Don't care about the franchise, but I'll see anything with The Rock in it, period. That's the only Fast and the Furious movies I've seen aside from the first one. But yeah, Psycho House, you still see it. It's the original one from Hitchcock's and this one. And there was talk about them, tearing it down or doing something with it. But there was much like the Bruce the Shark, Save Junkyard Bruce thing I mentioned a couple weeks ago. They had the Facebook group for Save the Psycho House, and they did. So last I heard, I thought they were like, you can kind of touching it up and fixing it up a little bit so it can be on that back lot for years to come, as it should be. Because it is famous. It is a piece of film history. If you're going to tear it down, bring it to the Academy of Motion Picture Sciences Museum and have it rebuilt there as an attraction, like they did with Junkyard Bruce. Or if you're going to just destroy and not give a fuck about this incredible piece of film history, break it into pieces and sell it online. I'll buy a piece. $50 a piece, and then you get here's a piece of the Psycho House. Make some money off of it. You're going to do that. If you're going to destroy an artifact, I'll go full Indiana Jones. It belongs in a museum.
Or just tell people it's a piece of the Psycho House. It's actually just
you could.
It's a painted wood from Home Depot.
Well, if you can go on eBay and because the Evil Dead cabin, all that's left is the chimney. If you know where to look for it, where they filmed the original. But the cabin, people went and took pieces off of. You can go on eBay and piece of the Evil Dead cabin. Is it really?
Is it?
Also, I've seen, speaking of that, the Quint's boat from Jaws, the original screen used one was left on Martha's Vineyard. I'm sorry. Somebody there's a real big story behind it, but eventually the guy that ended up with it basically just left it on the beach at his beach house. But people would come up and take pieces of it to eventually it's gone. However, that means people actually do have pieces of Quint's boat from Jaws.
Yeah.
You don't know what piece it is. But I've looked I've searched, when I heard that, I immediately went to eBay, piece of Quint's boat from Jaws. Found old archived pieces. Pages, it's a page, but auctions was where I was looking for.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that looks like a piece of the boat to me based on the color and the picture. But again, people can go to Home Depot. You can't, there's no way to prove it unless you did it yourself.
True.
For example, we're going to visit my family in California for Christmas this year. I plan to go to a couple. We have a couple of filming locations to go see, like the cabin from it's burned down, but the barn from Friday the 13th Part 3 is on a movie backlot. Supposedly you can kind of drive to. We're going to try to go to that, see it. But I mean, I could break off a piece of that and be like, not that I'm going to do that because that's desecrating history. But it's still there. I mean, people could go get a piece and sell it on eBay. Like, hey, this is a piece of the barn from Friday the 13th Part 3. Here's a picture of me destroying this property, which would get you arrested. So don't do that shit. Leave it there so people can go enjoy it. Take pictures and post them on our Instagram like I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And,
what's that Instagram?
80s, I don't forgot. 80s _revisited, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I always got to double check because I don't remember because I'm just not on it so much.
Always be plugging.
Yeah, 80s _revisited on Instagram. So give it a like. We got 30 followers.
Hey.
But again, I don't.
I think the older crowd does not use Instagram.
Yeah, I think everybody's moved on to what you were TikTok or.
That's even younger people. I'm
Yeah,
talking about the older folks that were alive in the 80s that probably
They're still on Facebook.
Still on Facebook.
Or they still they're still rocking their MySpace pages.
That's it.
Their top 8.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I got my top 16 now because I had to have my grandkids and just poking fun at older people that are older than me.
Right.
And way more mature and less technically savvy. But anyway, like I said, original set's still there. You can see it on Google Maps. If you go to Universal Studios Hollywood, highly recommend you go check it out. Well worth it. Awesome to see in person. A lot of that. It's a big thing in films these days. You got to have the in jokes. Marvel movies are full of them. After the credit scenes, throwing Howard the Duck in there, this thing in the background of this movie, etc., etc. But that's a historical thing for horror movies. Evil Dead 1 had Freddy's glove. In Nightmare on Elm Street 1, I think she's watching Evil Dead. The Necronomicon and the dagger is in Jason Goes to Hell. So there's tons more in horror movies where they use there's little call outs to stuff like that. This horror is is the funnest genre of film, in my opinion, in terms of like all that kind of stuff. But in terms of Psycho 2, when they at around 25 minutes into the film, when Mary and Norman go into the mother's room for the first time, they turn on the light. There's a shadow in the far left of the frame. That's Alfred Hitchcock's shadow from Alfred Hitchcock Presents, the TV show, which is very famous for its opening theme. Speaking of music, something like that. I don't think I nailed the ending. Didn't nail the landing, but a famous couple of lines logo, Alfred Hitchcock logo, basically, and then his shadow steps into it. Very famous opening. I know it because Nick at Night would always play it at night, and I'd watch it and get terrified of some of the stories because it was the original Freddy's Nightmares. I'm not sure if it was before or after. It might have come after the Twilight Zone, probably. I'm not sure on the dates on that. But anyway, you can see his shadow in that scene, and they don't focus on it. It's in the corner. Like, it's not where the action is. It's right in the corner of the frame, so it's not like blatantly like, oh, what's that? Nothing. It's there. They're exactly what we're talking. Da 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 da. What a distinctive profile too.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was. If you're looking for it, you can see it. Really, I think that's a cool homage. It's not distracting to where it takes you out of it. Like you watch the Jason Goes, also the Necronomicons are like, wait, what? Wait, that's the Necronomicon. That's a prop that should only appear like in Evil, and then in Evil Dead, Freddy's glove's hanging in the work shed. So it's not like they don't focus on it like in say Jason Goes to Hell or anything like that.
Just a little nod.
Yeah, and that nods are awesome. But when you have those blatant like focusing on things like wink wink at the audience, breaking the fourth wall in a film, don't do that. Keep it subtle. That's where it's fun. That's where it's like, dude, did you see Freddy's glove? And he was like, no, where was it? I'm gonna go watch it again. I want to see it. That stuff's great. Just don't do the to use an Evil Dead analogy, Army of Darkness, where he gets the spatula where his face is burning, and he gets the spatula and he presents it to the camera. When the little lashes are fighting him, they knock his face on the grill, and he's like reaching. Grabs the spatula and he grabs it. And normally you go straight to your face, like, oh, get me out of here.
Yeah.
But he takes it, presents it to the camera, like, yes, look, this will work, and then uses it. Which I'm not dissing that scene. I'm not saying I'm using that as an example of displaying to the camera or to the audience what the in joke. It's an in joke because you're supposed to get it without being told that it's there. Is what I'm saying. But in modern movies, they present an in-joke like that scene in Army of Darkness. Again, I'm not saying I've seen Army of Darkness presenting something. I'm using it as an example of how modern movies like to present that stuff. Oh, God damn, sequelitis. That's a shame. Everybody, if you see Army of Darkness, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because I can close my eyes and watch that movie from start to finish. I've seen it so many times. When the set designers, when they started production on this film, they found a ton of props from the original Psycho, including the original shower head, which was promptly stolen.
Yeah.
So somebody right now is sitting in their home smoking a big cigar or trailer, because it's probably a goddamn grip. And the shower head from Psycho, one of if not the most famous scene in film history, is sitting on his mantle or in his garage, rusted.
Or in his shower.
Yeah, or that's what he uses for a shower head. That's a. Not saying this might be a bad comparison, but like John Lennon's glasses.
Yeah.
The shower head from Psycho. Those things are equal to me. Yeah. Those are both historical things. Let's see, 72, almost 15 years before Jaws made it people scared to get in the water, Alfred Hitchcock made people terrified of taking showers. Yeah. And that worked. When I saw Psycho for the first time as a 7 or 8 year old, I was terrified of showers. I didn't take showers anyway.
Right.
But watch that scene. It's terrifying. Mm-hmm. You're taking a shower and then just seeing and also, not only is it one of the most famous scenes like we talked about in our, as we're doing Deja Vu here, one of the, that scene is so famous. It is probably the most parodied scene in film history.
Yeah.
We covered the Police Academy's on here. Bobcat Goldthwait does the fake out with the toothpaste when he's brushing his teeth, with the toothpaste tube looking, at a right angle, at the correct angle, looks like a knife. And I forget the character's name with glasses, showering, and it's Police Academy, so it's going to be stupid.
Right.
And he's brushing his bucket, goes brushing his teeth and scares the dude. But it's been parodied in everything. Wayne's World, when Garth is stabbing the jelly donut. No, jelly donut, don't do it. Psycho thing. Mm-hmm. Reanimator, which we covered a few weeks ago because we as opposed to last year on Halloween Horror, Nanny of Horror. The opening theme of that is very, it is one note off to avoid copyright infringement of the Psycho theme. That was intentional for that film. That was a nod, a very, very close nod, as to almost headbutting Psycho. I'm not sure who composed the original Psycho, so I can't give him props right there. Some
it was back in January.
Reanimator was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So not too far off. It was supposed to be still supposed to be last year though.
Sure.
But anyway, excuse me. Sorry.
Sequelitis.
Sorry, everybody. A lot of the taxidermied animals in the Bates Motel scenes were the same ones from the original, and they were also used in Psycho 3. Mm. Nobody stole them. Of course, they're not quite as famous as the shower head from Psycho.
Yeah.
That would be akin to having Bruce the Shark from Jaws, practically, or the Orca. Something like that. That's that level of artifact that, I don't know, if Indiana Jones was after movie relics, he wouldn't be Indiana Jones. He would be Michigan Smith. I don't know.
What?
the version of Indiana Jones that goes out and hunts movie props.
He can still be Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's gotta be Charlie Day playing the character.
Oh, right.
So that's the parody version, or better yet, Danny DeVito.
You said what? Michigan Smith?
I'm a common last name and then another state. So Smith
Smith.
Louisiana Harris, and the shower head from Psycho.
I like Michigan Smith. That's fine.
That'll work. Well, I can't use Michigan because you got Michigan
South
J.
Carolina.
Frog. Washington D.C.
Could be Montana.
Yeah, Montana. That has that rustic kind of Montana Smith.
Yeah,
that works. Let's go with that one.
Yeah.
That way we won't get confused with Michigan J. Frog or anything like that. So we'll go with that. So that's our set person who goes out and hunts these relics. He shows them gently walking on the gravel driveway of the trailer park. Dodging barbecue grills and pit bulls. Rusty barbecue grills with the spikes, sticking up. Rusty piles of tires nearly toppling over, dodging them.
Yeah, I can't imagine it'll be that exciting.
It wouldn't be at all. But you have to make it exciting, obviously.
Right.
For that. So, Quentin Tarantino, as I mentioned earlier, stated this is one of his favorite films, and he actually prefers it to the original. Mm-hmm. Which, had he directed it, had this film, this script sat around one of those not blacklisted scripts, but you always hear like a lot of times like this is one of the best unproduced scripts in Hollywood for 20 years, etc., etc. Now, had this not been made until recently, well, it couldn't have been, while Anthony Perkins was still alive and Tarantino, Reservoir Dogs, his follow-up to Reservoir Dogs was Psycho 2, let's just say that. Alternate universe. He directed it. It probably could have been, there then would be a debate as to whether or not it's better than the first.
Would have been a lot more talking.
Yeah, a lot more talking, a lot more fucking, a lot more of that word, which we'll get into that later at the end of the podcast. That kind of thing. Why are you killing people? Like he probably would have been the Dennis Franz character, like the one that owns the motel. Jimmy, he would have been Jimmy again. Jimmy, why you want? I know how my coffee tastes, Norman. I made it. And my wife comes home, and you have this hotel, and this hotel isn't running. Blah 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 blah. Enough of that. That was my Tarantino, by the way. I'm sure you couldn't guess who I was imitating, because that impression is again bad. This is Bad Impressions with Trey Harrison. Here's another one. No, I'm just kidding.
Montana Harris.
Yeah. Now, Louisiana Harris, so that way I don't have to change my accent or anything.
Oh, right.
I can wear like waders and a fishing hat or a camo hat with Duck Dynasty on it.
Hooks on there.
Yeah, something like that. The little fish hooks that I use to pick locks, and I got actually I have a fishing pole instead of a whip, so like swing across and scale walk. It have to be like a like that. Not a banjo. Well, banjo could work, but what is that? I'm trying to think of that instrument.
Slide guitar.
Yeah, something like
steel guitar.
to give it that Zydeco feel.
Yeah. Straight up
We just wrote a character.
Yeah.
Actually, no. He wears an alligator skin jacket. And that's too much like Crocodile Dundee. But with alligators.
Florida Harris. That makes more sense.
Florida Dundee.
Florida Dundee.
It's alligators instead of crocodiles, or alligator Harris, and that's that version. That's the American reboot of Crocodile Dundee.
It's like then the question is, why is he going after movie release?
Well, he wouldn't. He would then it would be an Americanized version where Alligator Dundee goes to Australia, and this would have been done when Steve Irwin was alive, and it would be a crossover.
Yeah.
So we're just making all these alternate realities. Just whoever's controlling this matrix we're living in. Needs to make a few little glitches and make it happen. One of the best ones I saw the other day, I think I talked about it on the first time we recorded this, but it was a mashup of Ernest and Jason Voorhees. So it was like Ernest Goes to Camp Crystal Lake. Mm-hmm. 10 out of 10 would see. Absolutely. How amazing would that film be? Too amazing for this world, since Jim Varney's no longer here and the Friday the 13th rights are tied up and there won't be a movie in that franchise aside from fan films for a long time. If you want fan films, check out our last episode, where I want to tirade about that. This film was originally going to be a TV movie, but then Anthony Perkins was like, you know what, I'll do it. Okay, we got Norman Bates back, the original Norman Bates. This is theatrical. Good call, because you made $34.7 million off a $5 million budget.
Yeah.
Good call, producer. Good job.
I want to say something about the fan films. That's actually in the echoed version of this.
Oh, that was?
Yeah. So listen for that if you feel like enduring the echoed version of this.
Well, there you go. Never mind. Now, the original writer of Psycho, Robert Bloch. Now it's B-L-O-C-H, but I don't think it's Bloch. I would say it's Bloch. I would assume if I mess it up, Robert, send me a letter if you're still alive and be a snail mail because you're a baby boomer, I'm sure. So that's how you. Or get your grandson to send me an email. But the novel Psycho 2 was published in 1982, a year before this film came out. And the plot of the book is extremely different from the plot of the movie. In the book, Norman Bates escapes from a mental institution because he hears they're making a movie about his life in Hollywood. So then he goes to pretty much stop the film being made, akin to Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, that's exactly
Strike
what I thought of.
So, didn't work for that film for me. Wouldn't work for this. Anthony Perkins just running across in a dress and an old person wait, give me a ride, dearie.
I got to get to Hollywood.
And he meets George Carlin and all these other people along the way. It's the same plot.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they didn't do that, although maybe Kevin Smith read Psycho 2 and the book and that'd be great for my stoner comedy characters who are completely annoying after Mallrats.
Any road trip movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So thankfully, they didn't use that. The sequel to this movie, let's see. This movie got good reviews when it came out. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes now for both Psycho 2 and the original Psycho, that's a lot of recent reviews. not necessarily at the time reviews. When Psycho 2 came out, it got a lot of favorable reviews. It was well received by critics. The original Psycho, when it came out, was not. It was like, what is this? This is trash. This violence on the screen. You know, there's a transvestite on the screen. This is crazy. Hitchcock, you've gone insane. It was a huge controversial film when Psycho came out.
Yeah.
Now, it's required viewing for any film student. If you ever want to make a movie, there are certain films that you have to watch. You have to watch them because this is how you make a movie.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane, Psycho. Those are the only two I can really think of offhand. I mean, It's a Wonderful Life. You can sit down. That's a debatable list. However, Citizen Kane and Psycho are undebatable. If you want to make a fan film, if you want to make a movie, don't just watch Halloween and then go out and duplicate Halloween shot for shot. Practically with the over-the-shoulder shot and the same thing of Michael Myers stepping out and then camera cuts back to the protagonist and he's not there again. That is overdone. You don't do that in the movies anymore.
I guess we did go over that Camp Crystal Lake thing.
I think we did.
So we had 2 episodes of fan stuff.
Yeah. Because we brought it back when we talked about my fan film last time. But I think on the Friday 13th episode is what I talk because I talk about families. I think that
So if you want to see Trey's fan film, that'll be in the echoed version of this.
Yeah. So we'll have to remake that one. We'll have to do a remake.
A remake of a remake.
At the Halloween party this year, we'll just remake that movie on the fly. Won't be too hard. You just need a bottle of ketchup.
Yeah, everybody break out their iPhones, get it from every angle.
Exactly. We get multiple angles, edit it together.
Yep. It's like, why does everybody have their iPhones on? It's the only way to get it done.
Exactly. We just great slow motion. Slow motion scenes. We wanted to back in the day. Now this is an add-on. I'm not going to go over that whole discussion about the fan film that we did because it's on the echoed version. But we want to do slow motion. It'd be like. And you fall in full speed. Yeah. You fall in slowly, and then
because
gravity takes over. There's no slow fall. But iPhones you use slow motion, filters. You can make a goddamn movie better than anything.
The new Samsung Note I saw does 960 frames a second.
Jesus! Go shoot a gun, Jesse. Let's watch the bullet slowly travel.
But it only records for half a second.
That's all you need.
I know.
For that kind of mic, they had a whole show about that shit back in on Discovery when I still had cable about just let's shoot a bullet through an apple in slow motion.
They have the slow-mo guys on YouTube now.
Whoa, awesome! Let's drop a lead ball in water. All this. It was a show about just shooting things in slow motion, which it's cool to see. But you know what? Just search it on your phone or whatever, and just watch the GIF, and there, you're done. That's all you need. Obviously, I would assume it's not on its 20th season by now or anything. I would assume that kind of ran its course.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, excuse me. Sorry again, everybody.
Sequelitis.
Yeah, it's contagious. Yeah. When we film next week, we need to bring a little mask. I'm not catching sequelitis.
Yeah.
But anyway, the final scene of Norman hitting Mrs. Spool with the shovel was not given to cast and crew, and was pretty much the only people that knew about the ending were the director and the writer. Again, not Spider-Man Tom Holland. Alternate reality Tom Holland, who was a writer and director, not an actor, and not born in England. So that was very akin to the "I Am Your Father" scene in Star Wars. David Prowse says, "No, I killed your father." Post-production: George Lucas, James Earl Jones, sound engineers. I am your father. Nobody knew it.
Yeah.
So until you're watching it and you're like,
oh,
and then nowadays it's such a trope. I mean, not a trope. Sorry. That is so much part of pop culture. I'm going to have to protect Violet from that moment in pop culture until I can show it to her and sit down with her and watch. That's what I can't wait for. I can't wait to hold her as she's sobbing, crying when Artax dies in a never-ending story. Which at the end of the movie he's still alive, so he technically doesn't die. But the first time you watch that as a kid, you're just like, not the horse. That's a traumatizing scene. And then when that's his dad. Watch my little girl's mind get blown by such things. That's what I look forward to. And every other little memorable thing you look forward to with your child, but mostly when she gets to see that Vader's Luke's father, because she's not watching the prequels first. No. All right, baby. We watched the original trilogy. We watched the new one. Now, if you ever want to watch something else when a daddy's not around, you can watch these. Supplemental material. We don't talk about those. It's like
Might not even be canon.
I don't. There's nothing. You can watch it without that, and everything's fine.
Sure.
You're not missing anything. So, however, we did get the Clone Wars out of that, which was a fantastic cartoon. So, like, that was the real prequel. That's what we wanted. We didn't want to wait 3 movies to see Obi-Wan and Anakin be Jedi.
Yeah.
We took 3 movies. Well, one movie. Episode 1 has its moments. Don't get me wrong. 2 is so just. Yeah, I'm shaking my head. You too. I mean,
that was the Clone Wars, right?
Well, that was the start of the Clone Wars, but then the show picks up between 2 and 3, because that's what we want to see. Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship. If you watch the cartoon, it's way more impactful when you watch the cartoon and then see Episode 3 when it falls apart. Because if you're just watching the movie, and I didn't watch the cartoon till after that, but you watch in Episode 3, Anakin's got a good head on his shoulders until I can save your wife. You can't learn it from a Jedi. That's my Palpatine imitation. Senator Palpatine imitation, because you don't know he's Emperor Palpatine yet. Or, I'm sorry, or Darth Sidious at that point. He's Palpatine at that point, but that's, one of the worst kept secrets in Star Wars. Obviously, that's the Emperor from day 1, Episode 1 on. There's no hiding the fact that he's the Emperor. But anyway, rounding out Psycho 2, finishing up. Body count, Jesse, would you like to take a guess? Which you might remember it from last week, but if not...
I have a good memory. It's 6.
Exactly. However, it is up for interpretation. It could be argued there was only 5, as an extended scene shows that Mary survives a gunshot wound. Alternatively, it could be argued as 7, as the infamous shower scene from the original movie is shown at the beginning of it as a flashback. But it's a flashback. That doesn't count, in my opinion. 6 is where it's at, which 6... is only 1 less than the score I would give this movie of a 7. Like I said, but if you listen to it all because you didn't care about spoilers, it's worth a watch. It's good. It's not great. Yeah. Again, this to me is a great example of how to almost make a worthy sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a worthy sequel? Yes. It could have been I'm illustrating for YouTube. Psycho's up here at a 10. A worthy sequel could have been would have been right under it. Mm-hmm. And with the right talent and the basic premise of the story, it could have been better than the first in the sense, with the right people behind the camera and in terms of the performances, which that
had a couple of right people behind the camera.
Absolutely. This is a film that had all the right pieces except
director
yeah. For the in terms of the technical aspect
and costumer. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Renee Delgado. Good job. I made that name up completely. So
she's like, hey.
She has a heart no. So yeah, worth checking out. Good, not great. Bottom line. In the real world, this film came out June 3rd, 1983. 10 days later, we love outer space on the podcast as well because we're also sci-fi fans. Pioneer 10 passes the orbit of Neptune, becoming the first man-made object to leave the vicinity of the major planets of the solar system. However, I call bullshit on that because Pluto is still a planet to me. And in 1983, it was, in fact, still a planet.
Yeah.
So, but it's always
And passed up Pluto kind of recently. Well,
that was a few years ago, but yeah. But I think it was that Pioneer or Voyager?
Oh, good point.
I don't remember. There's so many there's so many of them out there that are reaching Saturn, and we're getting all these different ones. I think Voyager 1 or Voyager 2 is the one that's the furthest away from Earth. I think, again, I know these names, but I can't. If it was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I would, I have to take a guess. Or 50-50, and it would be, is it Voyager 1 or Voyager 2? Wait a second. Voyager 2, it said 77. Go back real quick.
It's also 77.
Okay.
16 days later.
Okay,
Voyager 2 launched.
Okay, I could have swore I saw a later date than 77 on there. That's all why did they launch 2 before 1? But I completely misread it.
Yeah, Voyager 2 is in interstellar space.
Oh, they both are, actually, if this is current 2018, yeah.
Oh, I guess they sent them in different directions.
So I would have assumed, I didn't know they launched so soon after each other. I would assume they launched them in case one failed. But apparently they're both still
That was 2018. December.
Awesome. That's crazy. How far away that is.
And
Like, that's-
not so far away, too.
Yeah, and in the grand scheme, it's still here.
Right.
But to our relativeness, it is the furthest away any man-made object has ever been. 18.5 plus billion miles.
11 billion miles from the sun,
Jesus. 290 million miles. How fast is it
which
moving?
is 18 billion kilometers.
Okay, well.
Folks in UK.
Well, it's going that fast because it's going 34,000 miles per hour.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
I have a way to, to accelerate that,
Yeah.
Because you don't just start off going 34.
No, you don't. It doesn't get there. That's crazy. 41 years in space. Wow.
That's
and it's
Voyager
still running.
2.
Yeah, they can't make cars and stuff that last. Well, we can make a spaceship that can go 34,000 miles, 290 million miles every year, and it's still going. We can't make something last here on Earth. Well, we all know why that reason that is. They can't go out and fix this. They had to make it to last.
True.
You have to sell cars every year. You can't.
No one's
otherwise-
making money off of the Voyager breaking.
Exactly. So, Back to the Future segment. If you listen to the Echo, we don't have much to say. But since last week, I've seen two big things, I'd say. The first is the movie du jour, or the hot topic on everybody's clown-painted faces, Joker.
You saw a movie.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, my parents are in town, so I had a live-in babysitter, and we actually got away to go see Joker. And I've seen most everybody that I know that's seen it is like, oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's pretty damn good. Joaquin
9.0 on IMDb.
Joaquin should get an Oscar for this. Absolutely.
Ooh, that's heavy on the 10s. I usually don't trust the 10.
It's not a 10. That's a lot of,
It's 53% 10.
Now, it is a fantastic movie. The sound, acting, direction, which blew me away how well directed it is, because Todd Phillips, I believe, of Hangover fame.
Right.
This film looks fantastic. I was kissing Joaquin's ass several episodes ago when we were talking about You Were Never Really Here, the Amazon original, which you can watch free if you got Prime, where he should have got nominated last year for that. Always been a big Joaquin fan, and it strikes me so much when I think about it. You go back to 90, whatever Gladiator was, Joaquin's in that, obviously. Great villain. But, Russell Crowe was huge. That was his, period. Still like Russell Crowe, don't get me wrong. But what's the last thing Russell Crowe was in? The Mummy. That's the last thing I saw him in. Which,
Russell Crowe? Remember when Joaquin was rapping?
Yeah. What was that called? I'm Still Here or something like that? Which that was all revealed to be fake, right? That was all part of the documentary.
I think so, yeah.
That is, I'm right in saying that, right? I'm still here.
Yeah.
But
what a great way to PR push it.
Yeah. And he looks just like Kurt Gates. So a friend of ours that I know, in that movie, a whole time watching this looks just like Kurt so much. But The Master, Walk the Line, Her, I'm Still Here. Or I'm sorry. Go up. What's the name of the movie? Inherent Vice. You Were Never Really Here. So he's got two movies that are very similar. Signs.
I'm still here, but I was never really here.
Yeah, which one is it? The man is a phenomenal actor, and of course go to Gladiator. Was he nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Gladiator? Because I believe Crowe was nominated for actor, I believe. But Joaquin was also nominated for Best Actor.
3 times for actor.
Yeah, for supporting Gladiator, Walk the Line, and nominated twice for Best, once for supporting.
Right.
This is his year. Now, again, I haven't seen every movie this year, but I think we talked on our first episode back how, this year's there hasn't been that many. There's been some great movies this year, but there hasn't been anything, great.
All right.
Joker is the first great movie that I've seen this year. Now, when I say that, again, this is a movie about the birth of a psychopath. This is it's V for Vendetta, to an extreme. It is a picture of mental illness. That's what I like about it. I understand what this, the story this film is telling. I'm not saying, because I mean, right now, like people are warning that be aware for theaters being shot up and stuff because of this movie. Nobody's even seen the damn movie and they're saying this.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, that was hype from the director or something like that.
I don't have, I don't watch the news except what people share on my feed, because if I want to find the truth of something, I'm going to go research it in this day and age. Because, actually, I should have brought this up. I saw Crawl. Really disappointed in that. Too much CG. Quick aside. Worth watching once. That's it. It reminded me of 48. The Shallows, to where like it's over. Like, why do you do this with a creature feature? Like, I mean, come on. You got to have some practical stuff there. But anyway, actually, I'll take it back. Rocket Man. Taron Egerton should be nominated.
Yeah.
For but
who wins?
Oh, Joaquin.
Okay.
I mean, when like he carries this, like when you're watching this film, it's just like, I forget I'm watching. I'm watching somebody break down. I'm watching a picture of this person, and they said it's done like. We've all been there to where we've had everybody. If you haven't had it yet, I'm sorry, but it's probably going to happen at some point in your life. You're gonna not necessarily lose everything, but you're gonna be in a spot in your life where it's the worst you've ever been. And for his character in this, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And it also, he's mentally ill.
Sure.
That's the point of this film. Like, you have to, there was a great meme I saw, like, it was a picture of Billie Eilish, and it's like, people think depression looks like this, and it's Billie Eilish. And the thing is, when depression actually looks like this, and it's a picture of Joaquin laughing in Joker. Very true. You don't believe me? Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Enough said. But anyway, my point is that, I understand what this film's about. You're going to have, when Fight Club came out, they had actual fight clubs pop up from people believing the philosophy of the film. You gotta understand, like, that's not the point of the movie. The point of Joker is we've seen the birth of a hero ad infinitum in every Marvel movie, every superhero movie that comes out. What is the first 30 goddamn minutes of the movie? Oh gosh, I don't want to go to the theater, Mom, and we have to see the origin. Mm-hmm. I don't care about the origin. V for Vendetta did a great job because they tied that into he tied his origin into what he was doing to Evie. In terms, it was told organically in the story, like that, and that made sense. It was visually stunning. Batman versus Superman, for all the bad things in it, how they do Batman's origin in the opening credits with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and I forget her name from also the other Walking Dead. Maggie from Walking Dead, I forget her name. Fantastically. So I can only see so many pearls be torn off a woman and fall in slow motion in every Batman origin story.
Yeah.
And they do show it in Joker. The Batman stuff seems a little, there's some things in there. This takes place in the 80s, so I don't want to give away too much. But there's some Batman stuff in there. You'll see it coming a mile away. Feels a little forced to remind you that this is about, this is where we're going. However, fantastic movie from start to finish. I was riveted, and it's unlike Psycho 2. Every role in this film is well acted to the degree it needs to be. It is directed amazingly. Cinematography is phenomenal. There are some truly laugh out loud moments, but it's not, he's not funny. That's the point.
Yeah.
They borrow from Alan Moore's The Killing Joke in that regard, like how he's basically a failed comedian. But he's intelligent, but he's also mentally unstable. That's what it's telling. This is the birth of a villain, and it's not Batman 1989. A ricocheted bullet goes through my mouth, so they have to do surgery, but I'm always smiling. And he dropped me in toxic chemicals, and my face is white. Alternatively, because everybody's like, it still doesn't hold a candle to Heath. This is not Heath Ledger's Joker. This is not Jared Leto's Joker. This is not Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you right now, Joaquin's probably one of the only actors in Hollywood that could do a character post Heath Ledger. look at, Jared Leto's fresh off his Oscar win because he's a pretentious little snob. So yeah, everybody knows I don't like Jared Leto because of his off-camera stuff. He's
from Louisiana too.
Yep, and I hate to say it, I think Bossier City.
Yeah, somewhere up there.
He is a pretentious person in real life who's horrible to women. So that's why I don't like Jared Leto. His Joker, and I saw something today. Jared Leto says his feelings were hurt was upset that Joaquin was doing the Joker and they didn't do his movie. I'll tell you why, because your Joker was fucking stupid. Nobody liked your Joker, Jared. Sorry. And I guarantee all the people that stood by said, I liked how he did the Joker. Nobody's saying that now because it's cool, Joker. When I say Joker, I'm talking about the movie Joker. It's cool to be that Joker now. This Halloween, you're gonna, just like after the Dark Knight, you're gonna see a whole bunch of Jokers running around for Halloween again. Which I'm not saying anything wrong with that. That's what Joaquin did that Jared Leto couldn't do. He couldn't do anything with that character. Granted, he had to follow up Heath Ledger, but it doesn't matter because no matter how you slice it, his Joker was terrible. Absolutely terrible. 100%. You cannot change my mind. I'm the meme sitting drinking.
I don't think anyone's going to fight you on that.
Some people fucking will. That's what blows my mind. Like, no, that was a good Joker. No, it was not. What was good about it? You don't even answer because there's nothing. There should be crickets chirping when you ask that question. But anyway, this is, you can't compare, Cesar Romero is a different version of the Joker. Jared Leto is a different version of the Joker. Zach Galifianakis in the Lego Batman movie is a different version of the Joker. But what I was getting at anyway with the Dark Knight, I wasn't meant to compare them, but you don't know where the Joker came from in the Dark Knight. That adds to that character. You want to know his back. There's posts and theories on the internet of he used to be a soldier because he had military knowledge. He's a combat veteran with PTSD. That's why he's doing all this. There's a whole bunch of theories about that. However, I would say, I'm not going to say Joaquin's my favorite Joker because I just saw it once. I mean, that's something you got to think about.
Sure.
And of course when Ledger's came out, because he died, there was a lot more light, or I hate to say publicity because the man is dead, but put on that role because of that. So, that added to the mystique of it. The mystique of the role. The role killed him. Jack Nicholson, I told Heath that he, can't let it get to you, kid. If that's a true quote, I've heard that multiple times. I don't know if it's Jack Nicholson actually said that or not. But, he didn't die because he was doing that role. He died because of his drug problem, which many people are facing in this world today. It's a horrible issue. The opioid crisis is terrible. We know people in real life. Most of you do. If you might not even know they do it. That's not a tangent I want to go down. But anyway, you can't compare these two. There are two incredibly gifted actors' interpretations of the same character. It's a great character study to look at Ledger's, look at Nicholson's, look at Joaquin's. They're all playing the same character, and every one of them is different. Aside from the fact that they got white, clown makeup on, and they're called the Joker. It's a brilliant way. Look at what Ledger did. Look at what Joaquin did. You can look at what Leto did, and you can see the difference between a good actor and an actor that's not quite
I still
up
haven't
to
seen
their
that movie.
hype. Suicide Squad? Don't.
Yeah.
There's not a good. There's no reason. There are bad movies that I will rewatch. Masters of the Universe. Con Air. Is Con Air a bad movie? Yeah, but it's infinitely rewatchable.
Right. There's lines and stuff in that.
And I still have a huge crush on Harley. Not a character. The character's annoying. Margot Robbie. Still one of the most beautiful working actresses out there right now. Autumn still gets mad whenever stuff comes on the screen. And speaking of Harley Quinn, that Birds of Prey movie looks like shit. And it is a shame. First of all, don't call it Birds of Prey. And then handwritten on the poster, and the emancipation of one Miss Harley Quinn. Just call it Harley Quinn, because that's who the movie's about. It's not about the Birds of Prey. Wow. There's secondary characters in it. That's
even
stupid.
in the title on IMDb.
I know. That's the title of the movie. It's not Birds of Prey.
Oh, wow.
That's a comic book series with Harley, which actually she wasn't even one of the Birds of Prey until much later. The Birds of Prey were Huntress, Black Canary, and Batgirl. And I believe in this film, They show Black Canary singing, and I think the lovely, one of my all-time favorite actresses, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, is Huntress. Yeah, Helena Bertinelli is Huntress. Yeah, I don't see Batgirl in there. Rosie Perez is Renee Montoya, which is a great casting, even though she's a little old for that character. That character's a little bit younger in the comic, but nevertheless, great casting, I'd say, because that character is of Hispanic descent. Cassandra Cain's in it, which that is Batgirl, or not Batgirl, but she's Black Bat is what they called her. You remember from Hero Click, she was the Batman character. I
think they called it even Cassandra Cain.
And that, so I mean, it's not even about the Birds of Prey. They're secondary characters. And why are you doing this? I don't know. And it ticks me off that Ewan McGregor's in the movie because he's so much better than this. Why is he not a different comic character? Oh, wait, whoa. He's supposed to be Black Mask?
Yep.
Okay. Here's a quick thing. The character's called Black Mask. In the comic, he wears a black skull mask. Looks like a paintball mask. That's why the character's called Black Mask. The motherfucker's not wearing a black mask in this movie unless he gets disfigured in the end and puts it on, which is ridiculous. First of all, when you have a character who's as charming as Ewan McGregor, you don't put him behind a mask.
Right.
First of all, he needs to be. Let him be Jim Gordon in the movie. I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah.
And more than that. Don't make him. Black Mask needs to be a villain with a. Speaking of voices, that needs to be a character with a very distinctive voice because he wears a mask. And when you're a character in a mask, either you're most likely silent or the voice has to be what makes you distinct.
No one knew who I was until I put on the mask.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Enough said. God bless you, Stanley. That's where I got enough said from. That's why I said that. For all you people that don't know that. Anyway, where were we? So Joker, go see it. Best film I've seen all year. And that's not hype. It is a good movie. But again, there are people out there that are, yanking it off because of the wrong reasons for what the film is, in my opinion. Like, because it's about the villain, it's so good. Like, you understand, this is a movie about mental illness and what can happen. And
this is from Suicide Squad?
No, why are they showing that? David Ayer. Get off it. That dude.
Okay. That's what I thought. That was the other Joker.
Yeah, he didn't watch was a great film, and that's about it.
Yeah.
He produced, he didn't direct Fury, did he? No.
Director, no. He would.
Okay, Fury was gorgeous.
Yeah.
The Brad Pitt tank movie. Mm-hmm. Gorgeous film. A little too long, but gorgeous. And Sabotage with Schwarzenegger, which horrible script. Oh man, Arnold had a couple of good movies when he first came back. What was the one where he was the sheriff with Johnny Knoxville? Last Stand was great. I thought that was a Arnold movie where he plays an old sheriff having to defend his town.
Right.
That's how you cast him now. But what do? They figure out, the living flesh over the Terminator exoskeleton does age, so he would actually be as old as he is now. Which, yes, that actually does make sense. They screwed it up in Genesis, but Dark Fate, I don't know how they work him into it because I'm trying to avoid as much as possible. I want to be surprised. I don't want any spoilers. Unfortunately,
November 1st.
Unfortunately, in front
That's not far.
Huh?
That's not far from
That's
now.
like a couple weeks, few weeks. But Cameron's producing. Hamilton's back. Schwarzenegger's back. I'm completely on board. And they're disregarding every sequel after part 2. I'm fine with that, although I do like part 3. I do like Salvation. I'm in a minority, I know. I like Salvation because it was showing, because that's where the series should have just gone, to the future war. Not like, you changed your faith, but you cannot change your faith in Terminator 3. So now we're finally, Salvation gets to the future. That was supposed to be a trilogy. Of course, it got a little convoluted, but nevertheless, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to see. Yeah. After Terminator 2, and then, honestly, after 3. Well, 3 actually makes sense because, 2 ends with them, stopping it, you think. Yeah. And then the message of 3 is you can't stop the future. There is no fate. I mean, there isn't. There is fate.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
The opposite of that.
Which that's why I like 3. Because you can't change it. You're just postponing the inevitable. And it seems like from the small things I've seen on Dark Fate, that's kind of what they're saying too. You can't stop it. It's just there's a new Sarah Connor. I mean, there's a new person who's going to lead the resistance. I mean, all you did was you made a different future for your kid, but Judgment Day is going to happen. It just didn't happen on when it was supposed to. But we'll see November 1st because hopefully my parents will be out of town, so I'm going to have to hopefully find a babysitter and get that taken care of. Yep. But also, I had, I'm not going to say the displeasure because this is a hot take, I guess. It, Chapter 2, 2 hours and 40 minutes, I believe, which means it was 40 minutes too long. Now, granted, you're adapting a book. Podcast listeners can't see it. I'm showing about 4 inches. You're talking about adapting a book that's thicker than the Bible. Full disclosure, I've read the kids part of the book. I never read the adult part of the book. That's just, I've never gone back and finished it because when the movie comes out, the movie's coming out, maybe I'll finish it. Or, nah. Again, book's that thing.
Yeah.
I'm super busy with a baby. I don't get time to read much, anything, but I'm barely keeping up with my comic books. So, I can't talk about it from the book to screen comparison like we did on one of my favorite Halloween horror hootenannies when we did all the Stephen King movies and the book comparisons, which nearly drove me. I've never read so much in my life for that month, reading 4 or 5 Stephen King books in that brief period, and within a month. So, but nevertheless, It Chapter 2 visually, they have this scene. It had me hook, line, and sinker until they get to this Chinese restaurant scene. And then the CG comes out the wazoo, and it's just like, nope, I'm out of here. Every time there's CG in It Chapter 2, takes me out of the movie.
Wow.
And it's now. Let me step back. At the end, when everybody should have seen the '90s miniseries, it turns into a spider creature. The end climax, yes, you have to use CG for that, and the end looked good. There's a super long-ass trailer that played where Jessica Chastain, who's an overrated actress in my opinion, because go watch Dark Phoenix. She's not that good in this. They should have got Bryce Dallas Howard. Just my opinion, you Chastain lovers. But again, if you think she's a good actress, yes, you can show me...
Tell us what movie.
Zero Dark 30, which I think she won an Oscar or got nominated for. That's when she started appearing in everything.
Nominated, yeah.
Go watch Dark Phoenix. No. You thought, now we know Jennifer Lawrence was dialing it in. It looked like Chastain was trying, but not succeeding. And again, she's not, I'm not saying she's bad, but she's not my favorite actress. Just my opinion. But anyway, McAvoy's fantastic. Bill Hader does a great job. The gentleman, go to the cast.
Of it too?
Yeah, James Ransone, I'm not sure how he does it. He plays Eddie. I'm watching him like, I've seen this guy in something. I've seen him in something. I haven't seen him in anything. But he looks so damn familiar. But he was fantastic. He was the MVP of this film in terms of acting. He was great. Absolutely fantastic. Again, there's not really Chastain didn't do a bad job. Again, I just find her overrated. But anyway, that scene you see in the trailer, the extended trailer where she's talking to the old lady, and then the old lady starts acting creepy, and then she runs out in this supposed to be scary CG thing that had googly eyes. Just I'm laughing. It's supposed to be a jump scare. I'm just like, that was literally my reaction. There's another scene where this supposed to be scary CG creature comes bopping out, and it is not scary. What movie is that from?
With him? First.
Okay, I mean with him with Sean Penn.
Yeah, same.
Oh no, okay, because maybe that was what I saw him in. Look at that's him back there. Of course, y'all can't see this on the podcast or
on anything.
But he looks like somebody else, and I can't place him because I'm watching the whole time. I'm like, I went back to his IMDb profile 4 or 5 times. Like, I've seen this dude in something. What have I seen him in? Nothing. But he's great. But yeah, It Chapter 2. I know a lot of the first one was super well received. Again, wasn't bad, but again, the second Pennywise comes out in a CG, I'm out of. That's me checking out. Nope, this is not scary. There's nothing scary about this. The whole Georgie scene was not scary because he grabs in all this, so the CG mouth comes out. I'm not nope, that's not scary. Hey, also I've seen the '90s miniseries. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
What's more scary? And the '90s miniseries is not scary. It's scary if you watched it when you were 10 years old. Mm-hmm. Infinitely scary. And again, I've gone back to this before. The biggest reason is, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't in a lot of regards. But Tim Curry, if I saw Tim Curry standing right there in Pennywise makeup going, hey, Joy, or beat Richie, I'm shitting my pants. I see, not Skarsgård, Bill Skarsgård? Is that? Yeah, because there's two of them. The other one was Tarzan. So I don't know straight. If I saw Bill Skarsgård standing there doing his little creepy eye thing, and then he turns into a big CG thing, that's not scary. But if I'm sitting here and it actually happens in reality, yes, it's scary.
But not when you're watching.
When you're watching a movie,
on a flat screen.
When Tim Curry's acting creepy and his eyes are demonic and he has fangs and drool dripping from his face, that's real. I mean, literally, that is real because that is on set being filmed.
Yeah.
That looks. Look at that screen. That looks silly. And he acts. I'm not dissing his performance. It's just, again, like, people are like, oh, it's the scariest movie I've ever seen. Like, wait, the new movie? Yeah, that was terrifying. Like, no, it's silly. And there is tension in the film. It's well directed. Don't get me wrong. I like the movie. It sounds like I'm bashing every aspect of it. All I'm trying to say is the overuse of CG takes me right out of it, and it's not scary. Again, I will stand by this. I've not seen anything CG that has ever scared me. And we talked about either last episode or episode before that about jump scares. It might have been the Echo episode, the take one of this one. And I said, modern movies do the jump scare where, like, music's building up, dun 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 dun. I open the cabinet, nothing's there. Oh, thank God! That's it. Chapter 2. Every jump scare is dun 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 dun. Beep beep Richie. Like, and it's just like I'm prepared for it. Like, nope. There it is. There was a better jump scare in Psycho 2 than anything in It Chapter 2.
Wow.
And again,
hot take.
CG. Again, I enjoyed the movie. It was bottom line, it was too long.
Yeah.
It was 2 hours and 49 minutes for a horror film.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's adapting a big book. Oh, actually, here's another thing. We talked about all the horror stuff before, how the genre does it right. Freddy's gloves hanging in the back. They don't point attention to it. This film points attention to every single reference they do. Just, akin to the Army of Darkness reference I was making where they show it to the camera. Like, Here's the thing. Stephen King's cameo, oh God, I was cringing. It was so... That wasn't the cameo for him. It's Blake where he gets up and goes, I know something about writing books. He didn't say that. He was like, your endings suck. Because talking to James McAvoy's character, your endings suck.
It wasn't subtle like Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Even though they focus on Stan Lee, but he's like, I'm a comic book writer.
Yeah. I mean, it's when Stephen King shows up, at first like, oh, that's Stephen King. And then the scene keeps going and going and going.
Oh, wow.
And go. I'm just like, this is too, like, that's, I always like to see the Stephen King cameo. And this was his first cameo since Thinner in the film. Wow. As we talked about, speaking again of our Stephen King month on for Halloween that we did a few years ago. Like, everybody thinks, oh, Stephen King's always in his films. Nah, it's actually not as common as you think. But nevertheless, when he pops up in this film, it's like, oh, good to see Stephen King. And it's like, it was a big role. I mean, it's like, we're talking like a 5, 6, 7 minute scene here. And King will be the first to admit that he's not a good actor. But it's like, immediately I'm checked out. Like, I'm just watching Stephen King talk to James McAvoy. And then there's a scene in this film. There's another one. This is the main one I remember. They basically, word for word, reference other horror films. There's two of them. There's one, but the one I remember, basically, Stanley's head becomes like, I think it's Stanley was the name, the one that in the miniseries slits his wrist at the end of part 1 and dies and doesn't come back. I think that's Stanley. Anyway, his head, like they go to the house and his head pops out. Spoiler alert, but I mean, most people have seen it. I mean, it made bajillion dollars, and it sprouts arms, exactly like another sci-fi film, except that use practical effects and look better than any effect in this film, The Thing. And in The Thing, when that happens, classic scene, lit by the great Dean Cundey, backlit, you just see the silhouette of the head and the legs come out and it gets up and starts walking. Amazing scene, practical effects. Disturbing as hell when the first time you see it and every other time you see it. And in The Thing, forget the actor, but the character turns out to be The Thing, and a few minutes later goes, you gotta be fucking kidding me. In this movie, Stanley's head sprouts spider legs, and Bill Hader goes, you gotta be fucking kidding me. the exact line from the like that is
the scene.
This is the original. This is the scene from The Thing. Look how
Right.
great that looks. Practical effects. That is literally happening on set.
Yeah.
The actors are reacting to what they're seeing, what we're seeing. A more honest reaction. I mean, and actors are amazing these days because they can react to what's not there, like believably so in a lot of things. And the guy says, it's coming up as we're watching down here. You gotta be fucking kidding me! They copy this scene in the movie. They say the exact line.
It's the homage.
No, that's not an homage. That's just like they're taking this meta thing too far.
Right.
Like that is too far.
It's too big of a moment to homage.
Yeah, like you don't say that line. You can say like, "What the hell?" or what? I mean, you don't say the exact line.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest. Let's be honest. Most people don't even get that reference.
Yeah.
Anybody who's worth their salt in sci-fi and horror sure does, and that's the target audience for a horror movie. Immediately, like again, I'm constant. This is a 2-hour and 49-minute movie, and I am constantly getting taken out of it. I cannot stay in the movie because the CG is laughable, is silly. That's somebody on Reddit was like, or no, it was some in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, horror groups, like, just saw it chapter 2, best CG I've ever seen. I'm just like, prove me, like, name something. Somebody said, nah, it wasn't that good, dude. Like, you need to see more movies. He's like, name one movie. I'm like, I want to just do a list. I don't have the time. I don't argue with people typing. I want to talk to
Maybe
people
that's a good
face to
response.
face.
I don't have the time to list out all these movies.
Yeah, go watch a movie. Go watch, again, I will go back to Jurassic Park any day of the week. Watch that movie today in on a Blu-ray in high definition.
Yep.
Still looks amazing for 92, 93, 25-year-old movie. Am I my math remotely right on that? Close. And looks better than It Chapter 2? Yeah. Yes, it does. The CG in Jurassic Park consistently looks better than the CG in this film. Now, again, the end scene when it is a spider looks great. But I know they're not going to puppet like that. This is a giant puppet. Now, counterpoint, Alien Queen and Aliens. So could they have done it practical? Yes. I understand you have that in this day and age. I understand that being CG. When the old woman comes busting out and it's this CG thing that looks like it would be more akin to, an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode from the 90s on Nickelodeon as opposed to, something in a horror movie. No, that's not. I'm like, if I watched this in a theater, people would have been like, shh, because I would have. I laugh. My reaction was I laugh. That's not what it's. It's supposed to be a jump scare. First of all, it's coming. Nope. Now, boom, there it happens.
Yeah.
Andy Muschietti, however you pronounce his last name, he's a good director. Like visually, I think he could do a little bit better on pacing. And then, again, in horror movies, stop relying on CG so much. It's just that's not the genre for CG. If you don't believe me, watch every 80s horror movie. Watch any John Carpenter movie for the most part until Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
Which even he doesn't like. he admits he half-assed that. And I mean, let me take it back. Escape from LA notwithstanding, the surfing scene is bad green screen. But I love it because it's Kurt
They were
Russell.
trying new things.
Yeah, and they had the biggest budget, But I mean, in the original Escape from New York, when they needed to do a computer grid, they made a model of New York City, painted it black, and then taped glow-in-the-dark tape on it to make a practical effect of a computer screen, which you can make in 5 seconds on your phone today. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that was not computer generated until I looked it up for the podcast.
Yeah.
Because it looked that damn good in 1981 or 2, somewhere around there. But the thing is, a lot, not 81. Yes, I was on the money. First inclination. Point is, and I'm not meaning to sound like an old man talking about millennials. I'm not a baby boomer. I'm a Gen Xer, or what they call me. They say we're actually Zennials, to where we're kind of that in between. I don't blame millennials, but a lot of these younger kids they've grown up with their horror being CG, so that is scary. That's why people say 47 meters down was terrifying. No, No, it wasn't. Because the shark was CG and it looked ridiculously fake. The CG shark, every CG shark ever made is more unrealistic than the shark from Jaws. And you can argue with me all you want. You're not going to win because I can win with this statement. The shark in Jaws was real. You could touch it. So yes, I win by default, motherfucker. The shark was real. Mandy Moore's reacting to a green golf ball in the water. In The Shallows, the shark looks so fake. They can't get CG sharks right. They never have. It's a real animal. Why haven't they been able to do it?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Why can't you know what a shark looks like?
They're pretty good at water.
Yeah, CG water looks amazing. You can make water and all, people wading through water and all this stuff, and it looks great, but you can't make a shark?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the Southland Channel. I'm talking about name any big budget movie that had a shark in it. Going back to Deep Blue Sea. One of the worst CG sharks in existence. One of the worst pieces of CG is when Samuel gets eaten by the shark in Deep Blue Sea. I've mentioned it before on the podcast. But, the Meg. The Meg is a gigantic, it's supposed to be a giant shark. Okay, I understand going in that it's going to be CG, so I accept it. When I watch a movie called The Shallows, I know there's a great white attacking, not Brie Larson,
Blake Lively.
I know it was a B word. Actually, a BL word. They have the same initials, so I was close. And it's all CG. No, open water. They used real sharks. The actors are swimming with real sharks. Granted, not swimming great whites or tigers or bull sharks.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, this when I saw the trailer for 47 meters, it's the second one. It's just like I'm like, this is so stupid. Yeah. This is absolutely stupid. The Reef, I've mentioned on the podcast before. You want to watch a good shark movie? Watch The Reef. Best shark movie since Open Water. Honestly, probably a little bit better than Open Water. And you know what? I want to say there's no CG in it. There might have been for one shot, but they used real footage of sharks, shot well with to where you're in the Deep Blue Sea. That's a shark movie reference. You have your actors over here. You're filming in a blue screen. So they filmed live great whites like swimming, and then it's easy to see, to put the actors in the frame with them. But I'm looking at a real shark. Mm-hmm. And that movie, The Reef, is fantastic with the tension. The entire time you're like, you're just waiting. And when stuff happens, actually, it has a great jump scare in it. It's worth watching. Like you're watching. Also, like, oh Jesus Christ! Out of nowhere, RKO, Shark KO. Actually, they just showed part of it on that trailer that we're watching right now. But practical effects, real shark footage, seamlessly spliced with people, works. I'm watching that film the entire time, like, tension is palpable. Yeah, all these other shark movies, Now, if somebody said, Trey, do you want to blow up shark from Batman, the movie in 66, or do you want a CG shark? Well, first I'm going to say, is the movie a comedy or is it supposed to be a horror movie? It's supposed to be a horror movie. Okay, well, if you're going to go that cheap with the practical, then do the CG. But that is par for the course now, like the CG crap. But again, it's a shark. And let's be honest. If you have to make something that we see in reality look real, that's harder than making a clown spider. We don't know what a clown spider really looks like. Suspension of disbelief is acceptable. But if you can't make a fucking shark, go build it. Greg Nicotero just restored the Junkyard Bruce, and it looks great. If that was in a pool, I'd turn the water brown. It'd be a Caddyshack moment. Oh, Jesus Christ. If I saw, again... When you watch it, you can't say if I saw a CG shark around, I'd be like, then I'd be questioning reality, like what is real and what is not? Because this looks stupid. This doesn't look real.
Our cartoon's real.
They do look like that. Trey's mind blown. Bottom line is, with It Chapter 2, I enjoyed it. It's a good movie. Much like Psycho 2, it's good. But we're talking about it here. We got to be critical. A lot of stuff I like about it, my opinion, too long. And the CG up till the end is subpar and not scary. It is not a scary movie. They are taking Junkyard Bruce, taking him away to get restored by Nicotero to the and his final resting place, so to speak. at the Academy of Motion Arts Motion Picture. And it's not that one. It's not used in the film. It's one that was hanging in Universal. But the Junkyard Bruce was made from the original molds as the original Bruce. So it is the closest that you will ever see and get to an original shark from Jaws. And when you, I have pictures on my Facebook where I'm not standing that close. It was hanging from a tree where I got pictures of myself in front of it. We saw it, got a few pictures left. Awesome to see it. But when you looked at them in the tree, like you could see that the details from the shark from Jaws, like the way the hinge jaw, where the mechanics, like the little kind of, not underbite, but the little flap on the jaw is really distinctive. And it's like, yes, I can tell that looks like Bruce from Jaws. And when you see the pictures that they have from the restoration, it looks fantastic. But it's, of course they had to sand it down, clean it up, but it's it's just like a new paint on a car.
Yeah.
It's still the same car. Just looks nice. But anyway, so It Chapter 2, if you like the first one, second one's not as good because, even with the 90s miniseries, and again, I haven't read the second half of the book, but the kids' part's always, kids fighting monsters is always more interesting than adults fighting monsters because this, Monster Squad, two different things, Monster Squad PG-13, although they're fighting Universal monsters. There are stakes. Goonies, the Fratellis are bumbling idiots, but there's still stakes there. The kids aren't in any danger.
Right.
And if you haven't read the book, you don't know what's happening. You haven't seen the 90s miniseries, you don't know what's going to happen. Oh, and actually, It Chapter 2 did have two disturbing scenes where they show children getting murdered. And of course, like I mentioned before, I have a kid now. Well, they don't show it.
I know.
That's all you get. Exactly. Kid parts are flying everywhere. First of all, I've been rated X. But It Chapter 2, there's one scene where, spoiler alert, darling little girl. I have a little girl, obviously a little girl. It's just like, well, I'm like, if they kill this kid, like, they don't show him eating her, but they just like in the first one, they show him like get her by the head, where it's like, that's an effective scare.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a scare, but like that's a disturbing image. They show just enough to where you see him do this. Podcast listeners, you can't see it, and then it cuts to black. That's an effective moment. But then, like, what's that noise? Music build, like I've said before, it's gonna happen here. No, it's not. Bam! Stop doing that. I just said that a few weeks ago when we were on the podcast, and I didn't watch this movie, and it's all over it.
Yeah.
There are good directors working out there. Don't get me wrong. But there aren't directors out there that can scare you. Scare me. I'm the old codger that's not, that movie Paranormal Activity didn't scare you? No. What's there to be scared about a door going?
Yeah. My house does that anyway.
Yeah. All the fucking time. That's not scary. When we watched that movie, we watched that at home at night. Me and Autumn were in bed watching it, and she's like, I don't know if I'm watching this, going to scare her. Like, I'm sitting there just like, she's like when she thought something scary was going to, she looked away. I'm like, it's just the door again, babe. It's just the door. Oh, she's being pulled out of bed by the leg by nothing. Now, I will never diss the people that made that film for how the story behind making it, how they made an independent film off an idea. It's not my cup of tea, but it's that dude that directed it, did it at home with his, on a cheap budget and spawned a franchise. Awesome. Again, Paranormal Activity, Ghost. I'm not a ghost movie person. Poltergeist, yes, but in Poltergeist, the poltergeist is possessing things. There's a very famous movie that a lot of, speaking of Shudder and horror people, Eli Roth has a series and a podcast as well. I forget, something of horror. I can't remember what it's called. History of Horror, there it is, thank you. The visual episodes are on Shudder, but there's a podcast too with the full interviews. But they did the episode on ghosts, and everybody's talking about this movie called The Changeling with George C. Scott. Which, like, Scorsese and Stephen King are like, scared the crap out of me. And it's a ghost movie. Like, that's how you scare people without showing anything. Now, probably because I'm most likely, I'm desensitized to scary stuff. And I freely admit that. But I'm watching this film for the first time ever. We'll probably cover it on the podcast, so it's kind of a spoiler alert because it was made in 1980, I believe. But I'm just watching, like, you hear... That's not scary to me. they don't show anything. It's a well done movie. I guess we're not going to do it on the podcast. It's a well done movie, but there's nothing scary. I'm just watching like this is not. How could these great people with such opinions I value think this is? I don't get it. So what I'm getting at is, if horror movies with ghosts, not my cup of tea. I don't believe, could ghosts be real? I'm open to the possibility. I ain't seen one. I've been to America's quote-unquote most haunted house multiple times.
Yeah.
I ain't seen shit.
Yep.
There ain't nothing make my skin crawl.
Wish I could see.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Fox Mulder. I want to believe.
Yeah.
I've seen a UFO. I've seen an unidentified flying object. And my wife saw it, like, yeah, right. If you listen to the podcast, my wife's super, like, why are you watching that Bigfoot show? Like, babe, it's hilarious. Watch how stupid this is.
Yeah.
However, I'm open-minded that there are things out there that could exist. Do I think Bigfoot exist? No. Could they exist? Absolutely. Do aliens exist? Yes. Are they in flying saucers that visit our planet and abduct people with butt probes and all that stuff?
Yes.
No. I am an abductee, and I have hashtag
Let me tell you a story, Dre.
Jesse's face is pale white as I'm saying.
Anus.
What bullshit this is. No, but I mean, there are micro. The universe is infinite. I believe absolutely. If the universe is infinite, and
we were just talking about Voyager barely scratching the surface.
Yeah. So it's like. Yeah, there's bound to be something else out there. Has to be. It's infinite. And to me, and if you're like, no, there can't be. So you're saying that in an infinite probability, we are the only planet that can hold life. So logically, to me, I'm getting on a little soapbox here. Now, okay, that can't be an accident. That's my logical line. Like in that case. You just sold me on something like God, basically, because, and my point I was at is like, because then we're just humanity, like everything about the earth is just a fluke and a one in infinite, like, chance that life could exist on earth. No, let's be, you want to be logical. Something's up with that.
Yeah.
Be it we were seeded from Mars by the face on Mars and the underground rivers and ice caps of Mars. We were like space algae from meteors that hit Earth. Whatever theory you want to say. I'm just saying, Trey Parker, who I have a lot in common with, including my first name, and not nowhere near as many millions of dollars. He had to put it where he said, like, he finds it ridiculous. He doesn't believe we're here just cause.
Yeah.
Which I agree with that. So, like, be it, and by that I want to not getting on a religious soapbox on this podcast because that ain't happening. This is not the place or time for it. But the universe is infinite. So yeah, I don't think just cause. Who knows? We don't know. If you're religious, we're not going to know till we die. And if that's the end of it, that's the long sleep.
Yep.
That's when the gophers are bringing you your mail, as Ernest P. Worrell says. So. But anyway, enough of that tangent, because that can get really philosophical and religious real quick, and I ain't in the mood for that shit. But anyway, so yeah, let's see what. Go see Joker. It Chapter 2 is worth a watch. You need to set aside 3 hours to watch the damn thing. It's worth watching. It's good. You need to cut the fat of these films.
Yeah. And
stop using this terrible. It's horror. The genre is built on people, corn syrup, same stuff they use for blood and care. It's built on practical effects because that's what really scares people. In terms of when you show something. Look at the original Psycho. You don't have to show much. Look at Jaws. The first half, you don't even see the shark, and it's terrifying. Mm-hmm. There are ways to do that. Halloween, you don't see much. Building tension and horror is a skill. And yet, when I was getting out with the Changeling, King, and of course, those people were saying like it's terrifying because you don't see anything. I agree with that, but not in that particular film because going back to Ghosts, which started that whole tangent, ghosts aren't scary. That's again, I don't like the Paranormal Activity series. I respect it for what it is, for like the people, The Conjuring and all that. I watched it. It's like that's not scary. But Poltergeist, yeah, as a kid, pretty scary. Mm-hmm. not The Conjuring, the one before that, Insidious. The first Insidious, that one was scary because you're actually seeing something. At least, you're not just, the papers blew off the table.
Right.
Now, Poltergeist is guilty of that too. The chairs are stacking, but then it gets really off the rails with the things coming to life, so to speak. That kind of stuff. But Insidious was great. It was a ghost story that, it's not like The Conjuring where it was the sheet blows off the thing and it lands on a ghost standing there and then blows away. That was silly. That was when it's like, there's a ghost there. So the ghost is an invisible solid shape that's there. Again, if you like those movies, I'm not talking shit about you or those movies. It's just not my cup of tea. I want to see a slasher. Crimson Peak's a great example. Del Toro. That's a ghost story I loved. The gothic romance ghost story. Now again, The Shining. That's a ghost story. But good God, you need a machete to cut the tension of that movie.
All right.
That is well directed. The others, I know some people love it. Once you know the twist, it's not the same. The Grudge 2 was scary because you got that woman popping up all over the place.
Are you looking forward to the Shining sequel?
Yes, absolutely. And I didn't know anything. I haven't read the book. I didn't know anything about it until I saw the trailer of it in front of Joker, where it kind of explained a little bit more about what's going on. Okay, I'm on board. First of all, Ewan McGregor's in it.
Yeah.
Not playing a villain that's supposed to be wearing a mask because dude's got charisma. Every time I watch Moulin Rouge and he smiles, when he looks at Satine and he smiles, I'm just like, God, that man is supposed to, him and Hugh Jackman are so damn charming. Like, you can't help looking like, damn. It's just, you can't help but love him. That's all. He was the perfect choice for young Obi-Wan because that's exactly how I imagined a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there. Even Alec Guinness, he had that mystique, but still, he was charming. How did my father, when he's talking to Luke, you follow old Obi-Wan on some damn fool's mission. You'll never find him a wretched hive of scum and villainy. He's got and McGregor took that performance, but made it the young version. And again, I love McGregor. I will watch Birds of Prey for two reasons. Margot Robbie running around in skimpy outfits,
sure.
And Ewan McGregor. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead, because I love her to death. She's a fantastic actress. There's way more main roles than she gets, because she's always ends up being supporting, or she was the lead in Cloverfield Lane, which was underrated and fantastic. Is that the new Gemini Man? Oh, well, she's a Gemini Man, so now I want to see that.
She's grown up quite a bit.
She looks the same though.
I was going to say she looks more adult than she did in Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, she's obviously she's older, but
she Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she looked like she's aged well.
Sure,
I guess matured is the way to put it. Not every person, actress or not, ages, to where some people are unrecognizable when they get old. They look so different.
On the front of IMDb, that's her as she looks way older in that picture.
In that picture as opposed to some of the other stuff we were looking at.
Yeah, that picture.
But anyway, that kind of rounds it out for this week. Actually went longer than I thought we would, kind of having to redo an episode.
That's okay.
But nevertheless, when you see the time on this episode, it's going to be super long.
Well, we're gonna split them up.
Okay.
I'll talk to you after that.
I gotcha. Well, you'll see it on there. So this will be the good one. But do have another email we're going to read. We'll save that for the very last thing after we do our plugs. Always got to give a shout out to Ben, the Tasmanian Devil Wyatt, the Hobart Heathen himself, with us, the Something Something Podcast Network. He's a podcast machine. He puts out so much stuff. I'm behind on all his stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, I Heart Board Games. Melissa sings. And come back next week as we continue Sequelitis. It's the contagious. It's spreading. It's spreading. You're next. You're next. I said earlier, we're going to be. I teased it last episode, but since it should have been this week, Fright Night 2. Sequelitis continues with a patient with severe sanguivorophobia. That was a clever way of saying he's afraid of vampires.
Right.
Peter Vincent. So you get a little. This week I'm not going to do what I did on Instagram because of our little snafu, which stands for. You failed. Right. You didn't remember it.
Oh, that's right.
How bad? Come on, people, pay attention. I'm teaching you things here. So anyway, we'll be back next week with Sequelitis, part 2 of our Halloween Horror Hootenanny of Terror, which, we'll talk after. We'll fit it in before, so it's sometime during the month, because we pretty much record 1 day a week. So with what we had last week, that kind of throws a little monkey wrench in. Now I want to read a quick email that I did read last week, but got to read it again.
It's on the Echo version in full length.
So you'll hear the original take on that, but I'm going to sum. There's too much. Let me sum up the quote Inigo Montoya. I got an email, and I usually, again, don't read them, but this one just said enough, and then exclamation point. And I get all my email on my phone, so I thought it was something work related at first. Like, I didn't even think it was podcast related, so I started like, oh, wait a second, this is podcast. Because I usually like to read them on the air, give you a fresh take immediately from reading them. But this one didn't, so I was like, okay, wait, so what is this? And I'll get halfway through and like, oh, wait, this is for the podcast. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm not going to say his email or his or her email. I believe it's him. Basically says his wife, but it could be, it's not 2019, and we accept all forms of civil unions and marriages in this on this podcast. But it's at AOL.com. He says, I'll read it in full and then I'll give my retort. We grew up in the 80s. We have a wife, and then parentheses, wives, kids, jobs, etc., and are generally respectable persons. Please stop the constant profanity, specifically your use of somebody hit enter and then put the F-bomb. Not necessary, Trey. This pod is really good for a guy reading to us from online resources. We realize and appreciate the effort you put into it. Thank you. I appreciate that, because you are exactly right when you say that. We would love to listen with my wife, but you're sophomoric, which I take offense to, because this is senior and junior, and this is at least junior and senior level use of the F-bomb, my friend. Use of profanity precludes my doing so. You are 40, not yet, not till January 30th. So anyone wants to send me any present, send me anything. It's January 30th, 2020. Grow up and go ahead and curse me on your next podcast. Just please, enough already with the trying to appeal to 20-year-olds. They weren't alive in the 80s. You have a good, mature audience, and we would like to ride the nostalgia train unabated by streams of profanity. Now, I think I summed it up pretty good last week. So I'm going to try to remember the high points. Now, first, I'm going to try to take a little point by point, like I said. First of all, let's be honest. Fuck is the most versatile word in the English language. It can be a subject, it can be a noun, pronoun, adjective, action, verb. It can be everything. I could say a sentence using only that word, and it would make sense. Mm-hmm. Except, adding a few of or the. That participle. I think those are participles. I wasn't good in grammar. That's what I have my wife for, to correct me on that stuff. Sure. But anyway, and when I was I don't talk, this is like, I remember what I said last week. This is my podcast. Mm-hmm. So when I'm at home or I'm at work, I don't talk like this. This is my venting. This is my soapbox. Mm-hmm. I can say whatever I want on here, and I will have to accept the repercussions of whatever I say.
Yeah. This is you hanging out with your friends.
Exactly. And one of, I'm not going to say it's a fault, but one of my personality traits is when I get excited, I talk fast. I miss, I do that thing I do all the time, and I like to, I like to say fuck. Jamie Lee Curtis is one of my, fuck friends. That sounds horrible, but she says, she says, I cuss like a sailor. Like she likes to say fuck. Some people like that. Some people hate that word. Have I ever said that word in front of my parents or, my peers in terms of professional outside of the podcasting? No, I have a filter. Again, this is my podcast. I might have, sometimes I like to go on a tirade or a tangent where I'm like, fuck this shit, blah, blah, blah. That's just how I talk when I'm hanging loose with my bros and girls. That is the podcast. Since day one, this podcast has had the explicit tag. For that very reason. Mm-hmm. Now, I could absolutely do this podcast and not say a single word of profanity, but that's not genuine. That's not how I talk when I'm talking to friends about movies. Because if, there's no PhD in movies. Roger Ebert, no movie critic I have a PhD in film. Well, you might have it in film studies, not talking about that, but in terms of, every single person has an opinion. If you listen to this podcast, you're getting mine, whether you agree with it or not. I don't care. Obviously, some people do, because I made a ton of friends. I've made friends from people in that places I've been to Europe. So, but I made what I would call a lifelong friend who hopefully one day I'll meet, who lives in Tasmania. It's tomorrow for this person. He's from the future. And I never would have even met him or talked to him on the podcast, guested on his podcast, unless I did this podcast as myself. AOL.com. I don't know your name, not going to say it. And also, you say, like, go ahead and curse me in the next podcast. When have I ever done that? I poke fun at people like Rob Zombie, Jared Leto. It's all in good fun. I'm not a hateful person, you know? And I usually usually add to that to make sure people think I'm not bashing. I'm just like, I'm being silly. You know, most people who've listened to every episode, 220 plus of them, I believe, know that. So if you don't like profanity, hey, that's fine. That is fine. This podcast is probably not for you. Because there will be episodes where I might, you know, we're talking about something I don't have the proclivity to say fuck or shit or damn, bastard, bitch, any of the dirty words. But from my point of view, you know, people, you know, I grew up in a house where it was cool I could say dang it or what the crap, man, or screw this. But I'd get a butt whooping if I said, you know, if instead of screw I said fuck, instead of dang I said damn, instead of crap I said shit. I think that's bullshit. Because language is used, you know, I know when to use language in day-to-day life. But again, this is my podcast. I don't have a filter. Growing up, you know, just in the course, you know, you talk about people growing up in the 80s, people in our age group. You know, I am grown up. This is just how I talk when I'm, like I said, when I'm hanging loose. Yep. But, you know, over the course of my life, there are words that I used to say, and honestly, I'll blame somebody. South Park. Go watch the first few episodes, you know, the first few seasons of South Park. I used to say, oh man, that's gay. That was a lot of people who, you know, I'm not justifying it. I don't say that now. It has slipped out. And it slipped out at the worst possible moment for me sometimes. We were playing board games, and I looked and I said, oh man, that's gay. You know, casually, not hateful, did not mean to say it, is true. You know, and I look and me and Jesse locked eyes and I was like, oh shit. I'm just something like, oh my God, just play. And I
have several gay friends.
I play, and they're my friends too. However, you know, like that, but I don't say that anymore. Like, you know, like when I was a kid, when you're a kid, you don't understand the concepts of words. Yeah. As to what words mean. When you're older, like, you know, at our age, like, you know, I used to say that, I won't say it anymore. Again, I just admitted, like, there was a time it slipped out. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I did not mean to say it. That was just, we're talking, we're having a good time. Something that I used to say that was, you know, honestly was never okay to use in that way. Absolutely.
But no one's going to identify it as a fuck.
Yeah. Those words that's a fantastic point, Jesse, because those words are safe. Yeah. You know, fuck has no alternative meaning to where it's fag. Yeah. In, you know, a faggot is a bundle of sticks.
Or a British cigarette.
Yeah. You know, I'm going outside to smoke a fag, mate. Yeah. When I was a kid, the first time I heard that, because that culture in Europe, in London, you don't say, oh, somebody kicked me in my fanny. Because a fanny in Europe means a vagina. Mm. They don't say, you know, fanny over here is your butt. And your grandma says, oh, I'm going to kick you in your fanny. If you say that in England, you're saying something totally different.
Is that a fact?
Know? Yeah. Fanny is slang in Europe, I say Europe, but England for, you know, vagina. You know, the Fanny monologues. Gotcha. You know, that's how, you know, so. But again, each culture uses language differently. You go watch, you know, what would be considered cable television in England, they say fuck all the time. Yeah. It's different. When we were in Europe, I'm in the bathroom at Disneyland, Euro Disney, and women, it's a unisex bathroom. All over Europe, it's unisex bathroom. Nobody's getting raped. Yeah. You know? At the first time, I was like, my first thought was, am I in the right bathroom? Mm-hmm. The first time, but nobody said anything, so I walk out, look at the door, and it just says restroom. And
whoever wants to use it.
Yeah. And again, you know, people here, you're making transgender restrooms so that dude that thinks he's a woman can go in that bathroom, in the women's room, and look at my wife and look and molest my kids. Those are the people that need some waking up and need harsh emails, because those people are stupid. Yeah. You know. But anyway, the point is, kind of get on multiple tangents here. You know, I am grown up. You know, using back, you know, joke with my dad all the time because, like I said, Pop, no matter what I'm going to tell you, because he's a climate change denier. Like I've seen a lot of everything I've seen, the world is changing. That's historic. It's gotten warmer and it's gotten cooler. Right now, it is getting warmer at a pretty significant rate. There's science that backs up. He goes, well, I saw this YouTube video where this guy showed me all these scientists that say it ain't true. You can find an argument for anything to support anything. Where I'm getting at with that is, I've seen it multiple times on the internet. The little meme, like, studies show that people that use profanity are smarter. Yeah. And I've also seen other things that say people that use profanity, have a limited use of the English language.
Right.
I don't know what's true. It doesn't change how I'm going to talk. Now, if I met you on the street, I'm like, hey, what the fuck's up, AOL.com, you fucking punk, Bob? No, I don't talk to people that way. This podcast is meant to be fun, loose, R-rated.
Sure.
And,
explicit.
we're just talking trash. We're just trying. I'm having a good time spewing my bullshit, as Stone Cold says on this podcast. Talking to Jesse, and we used to have Daniel here. We had that dynamic of that was what the podcast was built on. Was me watching a movie, or that I've seen a million times, and Daniel, I watched this one time and I thought it was pretty good. And like, are you fucking insane? This movie was great. That was the point.
Yeah.
And again, it's my podcast, but I'm sorry to lose you as a listener. But please note, I respect your decision. There's no ill will. There are podcasts that people listen to there are 1 million listeners. I can't stand them. That's just me. That's what's great about podcasts and movies and video games and Twitch and YouTube. There's something for everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to cater. I'm not, it would be hilarious to like have I'd love to do the podcast where every time I say dirty word, beep. Because I think bleeping profanity is hilarious.
Yeah.
I always said, like, as a kid, like, if you're
really difficult.
yeah. There's no post production here except like supposed to internet.
We don't even know if this episode is going to be doubled.
It better not be. I'm tired of talking about Psycho 2. But anyway, bottom line, I'm not trying. Do 20-year-olds cuss? I mean, to me, it sounds like. I don't know you. I'm being facetious when I say this. It sounds like you're kind of being an old codger. Like, these kids using profanity. Like, when I was a kid, watch The Goonies. Mm-hmm. Watch Stand By Me. Those kids are like, well, what the fuck is that?
Clerks.
People cuss. And when I'm at work, when I'm talking with a client,
no cursing.
No. Now, if I'm having a professional meeting and somebody says, "Oh, I can't stand this shit," a switch doesn't turn on to me to be like, "Oh, I can say shit now."
Yeah.
I maintain my professionalism, but that dynamic is when a PG Spaceballs, they say fucking Spaceballs. Mm-hmm. Fuck! Nothing, even in the future, nothing works. They used to say Beetlejuice. Nice fucking model. In fact, every single time we see a movie with a model, me and my wife, nice fucking model.
Yeah.
These were PG movies. PG. Now I think like you can get away with up to 2 or 3 fucks in a PG-13. Pretty much in a PG you can't now, if I understand it correctly. But that if you don't like cursing, that's fine. That is totally fine. You do what you want to do. That is entirely up to you. I will not fault you for that. Now I also hope you don't use words like gay or misuse words like fag, which have multiple meanings, or anything like that. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Fags.
Yeah.
That's not going to be in the new one.
Yep.
That was the 90s. That was a lot of our formative years. To where when we were younger, it was not okay. Looking back, it was never okay to say that. However, society in the United States at that time, it was not. That was not right. Society changes. We are supposed to be evolving as a society, Donald Trump. We are supposed to grow and change for the better.
But I don't think fuck is part of that.
Yeah, that's not, fuck, shit, damn, bitch, bastard. Love bastard. Bastard's an underused one. People don't use bastard enough anymore.
But is that offensive too?
Well, see, my wife, I joke with Autumn because her parents were pregnant when they got married. So I always jokingly, you're a bastard, right? And I say, I don't know why you're so mad when I say that, because I think it's cool. Game of Thrones, man, bastards are cool. I wish I was a bastard.
Yeah.
Poking fun. You know? And you know, you talk about, oh, you're trying to appeal to the 20-year-olds. If I was trying to appeal to the 20-year-olds, I would be like, oh yeah, talking about that new Post Malone album, and I'm being stupid right now. This is me being like, you know, I don't even know what 20-year-olds are into. Yeah, Chapter 2 was the scariest thing I ever saw. 20-year-olds.
Best CG ever.
Yeah, God, that was scary, man. Halloween, that's stupid.
Yeah.
What bullshit? That is. I don't know what. I don't even know what language
Let's
kids
go
use
to
these
the
days.
Fortnite section
I'm
of
gonna-
this,
yeah.
of this podcast.
Yeah, talking about Fortnite now.
Yeah.
I don't know what 20-year-olds talk about. I don't care
Fortnite
about 20-year-olds.
flashback.
Actually, we hired 4 new people at my store.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's 35. All the other ones, I had graduated high school before they were born.
Wow.
So they're in their early 20s. One of them's just about to turn 21, so they are 20.
Wow.
And I asked them just yesterday, what's the scariest movie you ever seen? The youngest one said, I saw one scary movie, and I forget what she said it was. It was like, I don't watch any more of those. And it was like Jeepers Creepers. Like, yeah, that one had some, I could see that because that one had some creepy moments. Practical effects. Also, unfortunately, Jeepers Creepers was made by a pedophile director, so that's. I don't want to say tainted, but that's it's like.
It's a whole other.
I know what 20-year-olds talk about these days. They talk about how they use a Gary Glitter song in Joker and how that's unacceptable. Not really. That's actually not the 20-year-olds. That's the baby boomers trying to make news out of nothing is what that is.
All right.
I don't know what the 20-year-olds like. I'm a 39-year-old man who still likes to read comic books, watch horror movies and sci-fi movies, play video games, and I don't know what else is considered. You know, when we were kids, video games you're never going to make money playing video games. I'm
Should have kept up with it.
I'm staring blankly at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Times
Nowadays
change.
you can.
Times change. You know, you'll never, a movie, filming a video on a cell phone, high definition. That's Jetsons talk there. No, things change. We as people have to change. You know, people, the South is racist. Well, everywhere is racist.
Yeah.
Like we watched last week on the Echo episode, the first thing the South Park Book of Mormon guy did. Mm-hmm. What was the play called?
Avenue Q?
Yeah, Avenue Q.
Yeah.
And that song, everyone's a little bit racist, whether you know it or not. But again, that's the big thing I talked about last episode, in the Echo episode, was ignorance versus stupidity. Pretty sure that was last episode.
Episode.
I knew
Hopefully we don't do any more.
I knew there was a reason I kept you around, Jesse. But in the 90s, kids like me, who used the term gay as something silly, that was ignorance. To use it now is stupidity because first of all, a person's sexuality should not matter, does not have any bearing on anything. I knew people in school that wouldn't listen to Queen or Elton John because, they're gay.
Yeah.
The music sucks, they're gay. Okay. You like Judas Priest? Oh, they fucking rock, bro. I forgot his name. Oh, God. Rob Halford is gay, right? Whatever, man. You're just trying to defend the fact that you like Elton John. Like, I'm not defending it because he's talented.
Yeah.
I knew people like that.
Wow.
Serious. I hope they're still not that way. I'm talking high school. I'm talking 1998 and early 90s. We're like, it was. In fact, we watched RuPaul's Drag Race, and last season, one of the queens on there said something that was actually absolutely chilling to me, because it was an African American queen, and he said it was better for him to be seen as gay than black.
Yeah.
It was better for him to get picked on for being gay than being black. That's a sad that in America. In 29, in your recent
Oh, absolutely. You look at the internet.
I know it's just, but I mean, you like to think that things can be different.
Oh, when everyone's anonymous, though.
Oh yeah, the power that you have from anonymity and anonymity on Reddit and everything else.
Yeah, people say the worst things.
It's absolutely, and I like to, I hope it's those little squeakers, And the thing is, like I was saying, in the 90s, yes, I fully admit I used the term gay in a wrong way multiple times. If I had to blame something, I want to blame South Park. That's gay, dude. Cartman said it all the time. South Park was a huge thing.
Yeah.
I'm not justifying it. I don't use it, like I said, don't say it anymore. You know, everybody said something that they regret.
Everybody went to a party wearing blackface at some point.
No.
Trudeau. He loved it. He did it multiple times. He was like, I lost count of how many times I did it. But, some things don't need to change, like the use of the word fuck. Because it's just...
there's nothing wrong with that.
You're not targeting anyone.
Now, do I say that, when I'm driving my daughter home from daycare and somebody cuts me off and endangers the life of me and my child, I can't put the filter on that fast.
Right.
She's 16 months. She's starting to repeat stuff. Bottom's getting on to me. I have verbal road rage. And in Baton Rouge, now I'll tell you, again, when I'm driving and it's wet and I'm going the speed limit and somebody barely cuts me off and I have to slam on the brakes with my daughter in the car, I'm sorry, but that's getting a fucking asshole as loud. I can't catch myself that fast because how I'm infuriated that there's a baby on board sticker on the back and somebody's going to act that foolish. God help somebody. Somebody hits me with my child in the car. I'll go full on commando. And I don't mean taking off my underwear and putting my pants back on. That's it. He's going commando on that dude. Or person. Bottom line is, there's worse things in this world to worry about than somebody's use of profanity.
Yep.
I would be, now if I was saying words that we said earlier that are not supposed to be used and you call me like that person, those are the people you need to call out.
Yeah.
But again, you don't have to listen to the podcast. I'm sorry to lose, like I said, sorry to lose you as a listener, but it's my podcast. I'm not changing it because I've made, what we've done so far, me, Jesse, Daniel, and all of our guest hosts.
220 episodes worth?
Yeah, well, technically 19 for me, 20 for you. This is the highlight episode.
True. You always bring that up.
Yeah. You've done one more episode more than the host of the show's done.
Yeah. Did I actually say stuff on there? I guess I did.
You did. You did an intro. So, that back when we just missed 1 week at a time.
Yeah. That's
the good old days. But, anyway, the bottom line is, I don't see the point in it. Now, I understand why. I'm just saying, there are people out there that need to be called out for the words they're using that aren't profanity, but are profane, if that makes sense. Those, we have to educate people like me in the 90s who were ignorant as to what that means, as to the ramifications of saying something like that. Yeah, even though everybody else is saying it, doesn't mean you say it.
Yeah.
I'm a white male. I'm 25% Italian. That don't count. I was like, oh, you get such a tan because of that Italian in you. Yeah, that doesn't make a difference. I'm still a white male. Y'all should be scared of me when I get older. Everybody. It's the white males that are killing it, snapping and getting guns and killing everybody. That's who people should. That's who all women should clutch their purse a little closer and bring their kids closer when they pass them on the street, because they're the motherfuckers killing everybody. Beware the white man, not me. I'm level-headed. I'm looking crazily at the camera for comedic effect.
You gotta
podcast listeners
sign up on YouTube to see that.
Yeah, but again, the point is I'm not changing. Sorry. Goodbye. Thank you for giving it a shot. Or
thank you for still listening, possibly.
Yeah. But I'm not going to berate you on here. That's your prerogative. That's, like I said, I grew up in a house where you couldn't cuss.
Yeah.
And if you did, you got I never did, because I had the switch. Or at school, like, oh man, it was awesome when Jason cut that bitch's head off. Just a schoolyard talk in 7th and 8th grade, junior grade school, talking about the latest Friday the 13th and what was scary, blah, blah, blah. And then go walking home. Hey, Mom, lovely, Mother. My day was quite top of the morning and chipper. Everything was wonderful, Mummy.
Yes. Oh, Mummy.
And then I'm online playing Friday the 13th, and these kids that are obviously, it's like they took kids from the 90s and they play games like, N-word.
Sure.
F word that's not fuck, that we've said before in a derogatory way.
Hiding behind an anonymous
The G
name.
word. I'm wondering where are kids, in this day and age where media is not publicizing those words. Like I said, Bill and Ted, they're fags. That word appeared in several other movies.
Yeah.
In South Park, Cartman used the term gay all the time. They said fuck. Well, fuck, we're not talking about that. But, those terms that that, we're, as a kid in a theater, you're seeing it. You don't know what it means. I didn't know what fag meant. I didn't know what gay meant. I heard people saying it when I was really young. I went and looked it up in the dictionary and it said happy. So I knew better when I was older in the South Park era, but as a young kid, I don't know what that word means. Like, we played Smear the Queer as a kid.
Yeah.
We got in trouble and had to write lines for it. They never told us why. They said, you can't play Smear the Queer. So I thought it was because we're full on tackling everybody in the schoolyard. But it was called Smear the Queer. Incredibly offensive. When today you think of that, like, if my daughter goes, they're playing Smear the Queer. Like, who's playing Smear the Queer? Show me where they're playing it so I can go tell these kids to stop. Because they need to call it. You don't call it that.
All right.
You call it, tackle the person with the football or what. You don't call it that, But as a kid, I had no clue what that meant. So when I had to write lines for it, we had a Merriam-Webster dictionary in the house that was a big. I looked up queer and it said weird. I didn't know what was wrong with it till I was much older. That's also the problem when I'm not saying I was sheltered, but we couldn't cuss, we couldn't watch certain movies, had to get it elsewhere. So, there were certain things, when you shelter your kids, they end up saying stuff like that because they're picking it from other ignorant kids that don't know what it means. So, again, there's a degree of ignorance when you're younger, but when you're our age, there's, then it leaves the ignorance category and it's stupidity. When I said gay in front of a friend of mine who was homosexual, that was a complete stupid thing on my behalf.
Yeah.
Honestly, I imagine it's like, it's because somebody there is that. It's on, for some reason, how your brain works. I don't know how it works. I'm not justifying it. That was terrible of me to say. And I just played it off and I was completely embarrassed because I don't talk that way. But, it never fails. The one time something slips out by complete accident, it's going to be in the worst possible time. I'm talking, you're talking at work about the boss. Oh, I swear that so-and-so's such an asshole. Guess who walked up behind you and you didn't hear it? What'd you say about me, boy? It never fails in life. That's how life works. But it reminded me. I'm happy it happened, but it's like it reminded me, like, God, like that's never happened to me before. Why did that just I don't even use that word anymore. Why did it come out randomly like that? I have no clue. It's just it's one of those crazy things, and that was stupid of me to do it. But that's the stuff that you have to call people on.
Yeah.
And I did know better. But again, I can't explain why I said that one time like that. Absolutely. However, I can explain why I say fuck. Because it's a fun word to fucking say.
There you go.
So fuck off, everybody. We'll see you next week. No, but in all seriousness, not changing. Sorry.
Yep.
Find a different podcast. Or if you get over it, you change your mind. Maybe something I said sparked in it. Like, oh, you know what? Maybe he's right. I doubt that happened. But if it did,
I have faith.
Virtual
Maybe
hug.
it happened.
Welcome to the fold, you fucking fuck. You fuckity fucking fuck. Like a Boondock Saints. Certainly does illustrate the versatility of the word.
Yes.
So, and people do talk that way. Not just 40. Older people, everybody has their own use of language in terms of profanity. Yeah. And I cuss like a sailor when I'm with my friends. And most of them cuss. Some of my friends don't. My friend Larry, when he was a kid, we all cussed. He never cussed. He just didn't want to. We would actually pick on him about it. When I say pick, you punk, you're not going to say fuck. We were just like, fuck, Larry. It was all in good fun. We as friends should pick with each other. In fact, we got Mario Paint and we played a game of Mario Paint to where we'd write a word and you put you put the little filters on over the what you drew in Mario Paint on SNES with the mouse and the high tech for back then for a console. And we're like, dude, we took turns just writing something in Paint and then we put the filter over so you had to kind of look through so you could guess what the person wrote. We're like, dude, we're going to put fuck on the screen and then when it's Larry's turn, so then he's not going to say it. As a joke, because we knew he wouldn't say. We were trying to get him to say fuck, and we knew he wouldn't. But he was in the room doing the word. We walked in there. He wrote fuck. He did what we were going to do to him, and we just busted out laughing. Like we were literally about to do that to you, to make
And he never said he wouldn't draw it.
Yeah, he just didn't cuss. His brothers cussed worse than I did. His little brothers.
Yeah.
Shoot, they had I don't know what's a sailor. They had captain mouth. They cuss like a captain.
Yeah.
You know, whatever's. Ow! Pinch my finger on this goddamn desk. Fuck! I mean, god damn it! Stupid fucking desk.
See it on YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. It's okay. Didn't break the nail.
All
Or
right.
didn't even pinch. You know, I got it out in time before I ruined my lovely manicure. But anyway, we'll see you next week, everybody. If you stuck around through all that bullshit, thank you. And at AOL.com, this is the last time you listen. Bye bye. With everybody else, see you next week. Fright Night Part 2, or I say next week, next episode, because that can come at any time if we coordinate our schedules. So keep a lookout for that, and you know, chicks with fangs or dudes with fangs. But in Part 2, Fright Night Part 2, it's mainly a chick with fangs.
Yep.
So, but until next time, everybody, I remain Trey Harris.
Jesse Sedgley.
Cowabunga!